Greetings, Vault Hunters all across the 6 galaxies. Welcome to the Bordercast. We are live at our usual time, 12 Eastern, which is noon Pacific, or noon Eastern, rather, I should say, 9 a.m. Pacific. I'm Mitsu.
And I'm ThiccFilA, coming to you every week to break down all things Borderlands.
It's Thursday. You know what that means. Happy holidays and grand tidings to all on this glorious New Year's Eve. I wanted to do something a little bit different to cap off the year, and what better than to bring on some of our favorite guests from this past year to break down, as Tess just said, all things Borderlands.
Hey, no stealing my lines.
Sorry.
It's all good. We have ThiccFilA, Triple G and Moxsy all here to talk about their whole year in Borderlands. We were going to have Tweety Expert, but unfortunately she's a lot bit under the weather, hopefully on the mend. We miss her, and we will have her back on as soon as we possibly can. Please send her some good vibes on Twitter, on all the platforms that you possibly can. Just go and sub to her, like ninja sub, because why not, right? Tweety Expert. It'll make it feel better. Yes.
Give her your Prime subs.
Seriously, yeah. We have a lot to talk about with a lot of opinions and a lot of passion here this afternoon. It's sure to get spicy.
That's right. But first, as always, we wanted to take a minute to thank all of our new listeners on iTunes, Spotify, and Stitcher, and those watching right now on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, and Steam, or later on the VOD on YouTube. And if you are enjoying the program, we would love for you to give us a big ol' like, follow, or favorite. If not for Tess and I, then for all of these beautiful people here that are with us this afternoon. Please, maybe? We have so much. There's the designer's cut that's out right now. Borderlands 3 is available on PS5 and Xbox Series X and S, assuming you can get one. I still can't. Bunkers and Badasses, it's still coming. Probably March, I think the announcement was. Crossplay is coming. I wish I had more news on that one. I know it's a hot button issue, but we do not as of this time. And of course, there is performance mode on the Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5 that guarantees 120 FPS on TVs and monitors that can do so. Okay, we got rid of the house cleaning. Let's get to the fun stuff. Gentlemen, Thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
Thank you.
Thank you. Good. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. Happy New Year's, everyone.
Yeah, Happy New Year's, everyone. Hopefully you're staying home and partying it up while playing video games tonight, nice and safely. Seriously, though, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Mitsu came up with this idea to do a big group kind of send off 2020, leave it in the very distant past, have a better 2021. Better outlook, hopefully good things coming to everyone. So that's why we're all here, and it's going to be awesome. So what have you guys been up to this past week, this past year? What's been your favorite thing that's happened to you this year in Borderlands?
Well, this is slightly Borderlands related. This past week was obviously Christmas, and we have a new member of the family. And it's slightly Borderlands related because I named him Brick.
Oh goodness.
That's not an adorable name.
Oh my God, look at those eyes. He's so cute.
Anyone else?
Does he meow for initiative?
Oh my God. Not yet.
Probably.
Not until the game actually comes out.
Oh, so cute. Bunkers and Badasses, please. I'm so anxious for it. I just want to get my hands on it so I can read it and prep and do things and get started because it's gonna be so cool. He's so cute though. I love him.
Me too.
You're the best.
Yeah, Moxsy, how did you feel about this past year? Just overall, some of your highlights.
It was a crazy year. Obviously, we got tons of new Borderlands content. It was amazing to play through all of it, and then also alongside of Borderlands, grow alongside of it. I've had a really awesome year, and everything has been super amazing.
It's okay. We'll break it down. High level conversation right now is totally cool.
What about you, Triple?
I feel the same. Everyone else is 2020 throwing shade on it, and I'm I had a great year, I think I'm just under 3,000 hours on Borderlands across all the platforms now, so I've definitely got my money's worth kind of over the last 18 months, and particularly the last year. So been a good year, culminating in obviously Jenny saying yes to me, which I thank everyone.
Congrats.
Huge congrats. Huge.
Yeah, and to answer Moxie's question, I didn't video it. It must be an American thing because it's definitely not a UK thing. But But yeah, she said yes,
I
so
wanted
it's
to
been a
want-
great year.
It was really
Oh,
cool.
my heart's melting.
Yeah,
I'm
I
so
actually can't. I can't. So, 2020 has not been the worst year ever for me. Also, for a number of reasons. I mean, for the world, obviously it has, but I've just been so like I felt so lucky and so creatively. I don't know what the word is. Inspired, but also just like challenged in a really good way. And it's been very satisfying to work on all of these cool things, work on Bordercast, work on Ultimate Vault Hunter, which is a new show that we've been doing, and just like get to know the community better, play this game that we all love so much. I set up VR and I've been doing Borderlands 2 VR, and that's been really fun. And yeah, it's been a really good year.
Yeah. I don't know if you realize this or not, but the most recent episode that we filmed to air next week with, and I believe he's in chat right now, Birdman, once again joining the program. He is episode 16.
Yeah.
16. That's over half of a year of Ultimate Vault Hunters now, because it's a bi-weekly episodic content production.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's amazing. As for me, I'll talk about that at the end of the program. For now, we have a lot more to discuss. We've been, over the course of this past month, talking with various people about kind of the high-level state of how Borderlands has been this past year. But what I wanted to do today is I wanted to bring all of you on to talk more in depth about a myriad of topics pertaining to the game and how you all feel about different aspects of it. And I think the one that definitely should kick off everything is one that most of the min-maxers are going to be excited we're talking about right away. And that is the balancing current state of the game. We know last year when the game launched, I can say that last year, it's going to be 2 years ago in a couple hours. Last year when the game launched, there was a lot of issues. There was buffing, there was nerfing, there was a lot of nerfing. And now I'd like to kind of hear from all of you about different aspects of the balance of the game. So to that end, we're going to start with talent trees, which is a very important topic to talk about, considering we just had a DLC that kind of refined and enhanced them by providing us new talent trees. So my first question to the panel, and we will start with Triple G, is how do you right now feel each class is compared to the others currently in the game?
I mean, I could just answer with the word commitment. I plan to answer this word with commitment just repeatedly every time someone answers my question. But I think if you want to compare them to each other, then it's really interesting because like Amara's been strong like all the way through for like nearly 18 months. And all of a sudden, and only because Amara's not really had a lot of changes, the shine kind of is taken off Amara. Yet she's like, I feel like the community view is the shine's taken off her, but she's still really, really strong. I can see Moxsy smirking away. Like she's still really, really strong, but like Flat gets a lot of tough love, particularly on his new tree. But I like to kind of take a step back and look at all the Vault Hunters and try and see through Gearbox's eyes on what they tried to do with each character. And if I was to look at the weaknesses of the Vault Hunters before the final DLC, well, not the final DLC, the last DLC came out with the skill trees and the 4 skill trees, was what was missing from each character. And I feel like all 4 of those trees tried to address something that was missing. So they gave Zane ASC, which he wasn't really able to access. They gave Flack some shield survivability. They gave Amara a ball, you know, and Mo's some status effects. So I feel like there was a missing component of all 4 of them, and then they tried to attack each one of those. So in terms of how they compare it to each other, I do think it literally depends on your build and your play style, because a lot of people would argue Flack's the weakest. However, as we saw from the latest community challenge, Flack was one of the strongest because he could put out damage like no other Vault Hunters. So yeah, I probably talked a bit too long there, but yeah, it does depend on the build and your play style.
Oh, that's a wonderful answer. And again,
That
feel
was a
free
wonderful answer.
to just like say whatever's on your mind. That's what you guys are here to do. We want to hear from all of you today. And that kind of brings me to what I was going to say. Moxsy, you were smirking there. You were smirking there. All right. Why were you smirking? What tell the people why you were doing that.
I think Amara's been under the gun a little bit, especially recently with some changes to like extra projectiles and the fake grasping. And overall, I agree with Triple G said. I think she's still very strong, and the purple tree that we got was awesome. But yeah, Amara's been in a crazy strong place for a very long time, and I think she's kind of not in the spotlight right now, especially with Zane's purple tree, which has been very interesting and very fun to play. I didn't enjoy playing Zane as much as the other Vault Hunters, to be frank, until, not to sound like I'm bandwagoning on Zane, but the purple tree really makes like any kind of play style viable, and you could kind of just do whatever you want, and it works very well, and I've been really enjoying it.
I mean, I would guess that part of the reason they sort of have made the changes that they've made to Zane and to Amara and to all the characters in general is to kind of try to bring up characters that weren't as played or as loved, right? So I feel like it's really, really hard to balance in any video game, especially a game like this, which has so many components between guns and anointments and like so many different skill trees and different builds out there. I mean, just the fact that we have so many teammates and so many community members and so many creators out there making so many incredible builds just speaks to how much variety is possible in this game. And it's really hard to have everybody be on an even playing field. So I'm like really happy personally to see Zane have his day in the sun. But I also, like, I've been having so much fun with Moze. I'm really kind of excited and curious to see where Amara goes in the future, because that tree is so much fun. It's just so much fun.
Tess, I find it crazy you haven't played as much Amara as Moze since the 4th skill trees came out.
I think it's because I played so much Amara before. You know what I mean? Even though it's like a totally different Amara, I think like hearing the voice lines from Moze, and it's just like a change of pace. You know, playing with Baby Bear, like having just a different experience. I think eventually, because I tend to play until I overdose, and then I like really need a break.
Oh yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah, and so I think that's what
too.
happened with her. Yeah,
I feel like it's really comparable to, like, you know, at Christmas, right? So you got Zane and Amara. I'm going to paint a picture for you. Zane and Amara sitting under the tree, right? Amara, start of Christmas morning, got given this amazing main present, right? The amazing main present. She was perfect. She was strong. She was brilliant, right? Then Zane got lots of little presents, lots and lots of little presents on the morning, right? So while Zane is still opening all his presents, Amara's opened her big present. She's great, cool. But now she's sitting there thinking, we've got nothing else to open. And I feel that's how like Amara players feel like, because she hasn't had new things really like throughout the year and buffs, because she was just so strong just from the get-go.
Yeah,
that's really true. Amara didn't really see any kind of like balanced nerfs at all, except for the driver change early on. But after that, I think she didn't see any sort of nerf or anything until Mayhem 2.0, whenever they started doing stuff with action skill scaling. But even some of the stuff they pulled back, like the ties that bind stuff, of different types of damages going through it, like it still ties that bind. You can still shoot a white pistol at a bound enemy, and it's going to kill all the enemies around it.
Yeah. I feel like also, like Amara, like you said, Triple, Zane has a lot of little things, and so I feel like there's greater variety within Zane's possible builds right now than almost any other character. I feel like Amara has variety, of course, but like there's like the tried and true action skill, you know, like kind of way to play her, like almost gameplay loop. There's only really a few. Ties that bind is definitely still the strongest thing ever in the world. And Face Puncher is also the strongest thing ever in the world, especially with Amara, you know? And so I feel like like you're right. She has that one amazing thing, but eventually you just kind of like want to change. And Zane has a lot of different ways you could go with him right now. You can use different guns. You can use face puncher if you want. You can use flipper if you want. You can use light show if you want. You can use a bazillion other things that I'm not even mentioning. And it's great. I would like to see Amara kind of like have some other strong alternatives.
One thing that I think would be really interesting that I was a little disappointed with was the Kinsei class mod. It says that after you activate your action skill, you get melee damage applied to all of your...
Not being able to trigger the artifacts.
Yeah, it says it gives you melee damage, but it doesn't actually do melee damage. So like, for example, it doesn't count as hitting a melee. It doesn't work with any melee skills. It doesn't synergize with any melee artifacts. And I think that people view that purple tree very much as this is kind of like a melee tree. But if that Kinsei was working, I don't know, because if it did work as melee and everything like proc Groundbreaker and everything worked with melee artifacts, it would be almost insane. Like probably too crazy. But the way it is right now doesn't give, I think, purple tree as much variety as it could if it was really allowing for any weapon to be used as a face puncher, because as it stands, like that tree is great with non-melee builds, but it's just better if you're going melee.
Yeah.
And I think the Kinsei would be the transition for that. And from my testing with it, it just doesn't really, especially because it's only like 6 seconds of melee damage, and ball is out for like 24 to 35 seconds.
You can't really use it with the ball.
Cool down for a long time, and it kicks in as soon as you activate ball. So by the time you have it already out, like it's over. So I think if I was to point in a direction towards like increasing Amara's diversity, I would point at the Kinsei, not the skill trees.
And I think that there's a really good point, because like if you kind of trying to periscope into, does a Vault Hunt have variety? You can't just look at the skill tree, because you have to look at the comms. So I think like Mose is a really good example where she just kind of has Iron Bear or Baby Bear, but her comms are so varied and can do so many different things. The variety isn't just in the tree, but it's in the tools that she has in place with the comms.
I like to talk about the gameplay loop. This is the thing we bring up on Ultimate Vault Hunter all the time. The gameplay loop being different, because that's really like your play style and your experience while you're like your basic I'm running around shooting people experience. If that changes, if that feels different and new and fresh, that's amazing. Like that's hard to do, I think, in video games in general. And Borderlands does it so well to give us as much variety as it has overall. But I definitely think like it's a combination of the comm, the anointments, the skill tree, and like so many, the weapons. There's so many different things. I would love to see Amara. I think Moxie's super right. I would love to see Amara move away from face puncher, just because like everybody has 30 face puncher belts, you know? And it would be really awesome to be able to use some other guns, but in like a similar but different way. You know what I mean? To use that purple tree and use the ball with different guns would be really cool.
I think the one thing that stood out this year for me, where like it did an example of just one thing just completely changing a play style, was the Peregrine for Flak.
The Peregrine's awesome.
I'd barely played Flak really in the last couple of months, but when that came out and put it with either a fish slap or with a Vindicator, just all of a sudden I just couldn't stop playing him. Like so,
it's pretty good with the light speed too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, if we see more grenade buffs, potentially.
Oh, I hope so.
Explosions always better.
Yeah.
There is one Vault Hunter, we've talked about 3, that was basically kind of left by the wayside in this discussion. So of course I'm going to bring her up just so we can move on a little bit further down the line with what we have to discuss today. Mose. Where does Mose fit in this equation? Because we know Zane is very strong now. We know Amara has a little shine off that apple, but not enough where it's going to be too bad. Black obviously has their new skill tree, and some are okay with it, and some are a little disappointed. But how did Mose hold up under all of this year? over the course of her arc in terms of balancing from where she was at the beginning of the year to now.
Well, she has lots of mayhem scaling.
Yes, that is true.
About as much fire damage as Zane gets gun damage. All right, maybe half as much, but hey, half of a lot is a lot. And then, and then Iron Bear and Iron Cub are great. I haven't played much with Mose's new purple tree, so I'm actually also a little bit curious from Triple G and Moxsy how her actual purple skills are holding up. But the fact that like you guys mentioned earlier, Mose's class mod diversity, it's so awesome that Mose has like these different play styles just based on her class mod between Rocketeer, Minesweeper. I even saw a what's her newest class mod called? The Flame.
Flame.
Yeah, I even saw Flame builds.
Flame Emperor.
I saw the Flame pop up in a couple of really cool Mose builds where you actually use Iron Cub and then you equip it with a gun that does self damage, so it just like kills itself immediately. And then you use the Flame to instantly reset the cooldown, and then you have action skill on Mose. So you can even do that on Mose now, which she didn't have great action skill on before. Yeah, you could cycle through Iron Bear, but like, you have to go through all the animations. But yeah.
Yeah.
I think for me, she's probably the second strongest, and not just because of the damage, but because of her diversity. Like if you're struggling with tough content and you can't stay alive, you can put on a sapper. If you want a boss mount, you can put on a minesweeper. Like you can just do what you want with her.
I think she might be the most diverse in terms of just different options.
I think so. I've played so many Mose builds, and like my favorite is still my favorite, and it's Triple G's. It's Triple G's GT Shorty with the purple tree, which is Mama Bear, this baby bear, and he's so cute. And it's just fun to play, and it literally wrecks face. Like things that I went through the entire DLC 4 with that character the first playthrough, and I had so much fun. It was still a challenge, but it didn't feel like it was incredibly hard or anything was super spongy or anything. Even Sponge Boss was not that bad. Everything was just very doable and fun and like the right level of challenge, and I could just enjoy the story. And that's the build I was not with Baby Bear, but I was playing GT Shorty at the time. And now with Arms Race and weapons from that, just going through Guardian Takedown, going through Molly 1 Takedown, it's super easy to do with her. And when I drop down to any other build, I personally have a harder time. And I'm like, oh, this is actually hard with other builds. I have to actually work.
You're the privileged Mose mains. I can't believe.
Yeah.
I can't believe it.
So moving into the next section, kind of, what class, if any of the four of them, probably needs the most love right now in terms of bringing them up in line with anybody, if anything? Because remember, we've talked a lot about each class being very strong, but is there one that might need a little bit more right now in terms of general relativity to everybody else, or just inability to easily beat the challenges that the game currently has in it?
Do one of you guys want to go first?
I mean, there's definitely some skills in Flax Tree that don't work with each other right now, but it wouldn't be Borderlands without something not quite working with something. Like, so there's definitely some things in there. What would be on my 2021 wish list was I would like to see some of the treatment that Zane got in terms of moving his skills up and down the tree. I think that, like, for example, Commitment's second row on Zane, yet like Fuzzy Math and some of the other powerful skills on Flak are like right down the bottom, which means for Flak mains, they have to invest in so many points just to get to a skill that they would want to use. They lose so much damage that they can't then use those skills. So I feel like I would like to see some kind of reordering in Flax Tree personally to make it worth your while, particularly when you use Zane's example where he just has Commitment on row 2.
I can agree with that to an extent. I think Flex Purple Tree needs a bit of a small overhaul in terms of exactly what it does, because I do understand that they wanted to make it like fully the utility defense tree because Flack gets enough damage in his other trees. But at the same time, if you're taking all of your skill points out of your damage tree, Like you really do lose a lot of damage. And I tried more than once on stream to come up with a good like hybrid purple flak build where we weren't all in on the pet and we could still do damage ourselves. And you can make it work, but it doesn't feel the best. It definitely doesn't feel the best. I think it feels much better to go all in or none at all. And I think it doesn't have enough power in it to give you that sort of hybrid playstyle.
I definitely agree with all the things that were said for Flak Purple Tree. I can talk about my main a little bit. Amara has a lot of the other Vault Hunters have seen some crazy mayhem scaling and skills. For example, Skagden doing like 495% bonus fire damage, yet Amara's like big red capstone only does 18% increased damage. And it's almost not worth speccing anymore. And you're always going down all the way red tree. So, and the thing that I think Amara lacks versus all of the other Vault Hunters, besides when using ball, is single target damage. And I think that's okay because she seems more of like the crowd control character. However, like things like that skill, getting mayhem scaling to compete with the investment that you need in red tree to give her some more single target damage to keep up with other Vault Hunters. Because right now, if you want to go single target damage, it's kind of like Face Puncher or like a Plague Bear or something like that. And that infusion, and I think one of the biggest things that I would really love to see is change to dots and how dots damage things. Amara's got tons of dot skills, and now it's not only Amara, it's Moze as well. And we've seen that dots just aren't doing the damage that they need to be doing on Mayhem 10, Mayhem 11. And I think some sort of more shift to like changing how dots work and the damage that they do could see huge improvements for Amara and like dot focus builds, because that's never been a possibility in the game and would open up like a whole kind of like, I'm just so into like damage over time builds. That would be really cool. And not only would that help out Amara, but it would help buff Moze's Purple Tree significantly, because that is great for Iron Bear and Iron Cub, but the dot focus skills of it just aren't delivering the damage that the rest of her other skill trees do. And so they're not really worth speccing. And yeah, what?
Are you saying to give Anima mayhem scaling?
Yeah. well, for example, her class mod that you would think would be like dot focused.
Yeah, the Elementalist.
Only converts 0.02% of her dot damage. So it doesn't work. And
it stays in the vault.
And those anointments, like 75% increased like status effect chance of damage, don't do anything. And if you could combine those with a buffed Elementalist and getting some more dot damage from Anima and Violent Tapestry, like you could really have a dot focused Amara build, which is a playstyle that just hasn't been in the game yet because it hasn't been viable.
I could see that anointment just get, or that, I'm sorry. The dot anointment.
Anointment getting some love.
Yeah, I could see that just getting some insane love, because like we have 500%
so cool.
elemental crit novas. Like that could get like 1,000% dot damage or something stupid. And I don't even think it would be like anything crazy.
Yeah.
It would just give you a real dot that you could like actually kill enemies.
And you could actually watch them like their health like chunk down instead of like you dot them, you're watching the dot, and you're lucky if the dot kills like the last 2% of their health.
from playing with Unleash the Dragon, dot builds are like actually really satisfying to watch.
One of the only real dot builds that was a thing was
Driver.
the Nimbus, Nimbus Ion Cannon, which got the Nimbus, for those of you that don't know, like created a cloud or a dot after you hit an enemy with your action skill, and then that dot scaled off of the damage of the weapon you were holding. So if you held an ion cannon, you could get a crazy dot because it would base the dot off of the ion cannon's dot. However, ever since like Mayhem 10 was introduced, it just hasn't been viable because dots don't do the damage that they need to be doing, even holding like an ion cannon.
While we're still on this topic of characters as well, we got to bring up your boy Zane. I know he got commitment, okay, but he still has a green tree that I think in terms of just like pure damage and utility, I actually think it's still worse than Flak's purple tree. Because Zane's green tree is very similar in terms of the utility it offers. It offers tons of like damage reduction skills, accuracy and handling, but it's kind of funny because the barrier itself, which is the action skill of that tree, gives you all the damage reduction you need. It gives you 100% damage reduction if projectiles hit the barrier, and you can wear the all-rounder. So it kind of makes a lot of those skills redundant. And then you have the capstone in Zane's green tree, which gives 40% gun damage, which, comparing like Moxsy said to Amara's red capstone, which gives 18% bonus element damage. It's like Amara doesn't need another bonus element. Zane doesn't need more gun damage. I always theory crafted like, how can we buff this kind of stuff? I think it would be really cool if we saw action skill damage in Zane's green tree.
Ooh, that's actually a really
Could
good
be,
point.
but like, as I'll go back to my analogy earlier, so you've just opened, Zane, 500 presents under that tree, and now you want something else. Like,
Hey,
so
listen, we can cap commitment. I'll trade a cap on commitment for it.
Like I would
Smart
compare
place.
Zane's
Smart
green
place.
tree to Flax, right? Flax green tree doesn't have a lot of damage in either. Like I don't. So the way I look at it
Flex
is
green
this,
tree has a lot. It's more comparable to Flex purple tree, honestly.
but like you can't. I suppose what I'm getting at is not every tree can have tons of damage. Like that's why we have multiple trees to play off.
Yeah, I agree with that too. But I think my other point was like the utility in that tree doesn't really offer much to the game either. Like, it's kind of just a lot of damage reduction, like stiff upper lip and futility belt, and then accuracy and handling, which is like, Zane gets in his purple tree now. It just kind of all becomes redundant. Brain freeze is amazing though.
Accuracy and handling in general are just kind of like nebulous talents in general to have, because it's like, all right, I know that if I point gun and shoot in this direction, at least some sort of plurality of those bullets are going to hit my target. So it doesn't matter if all of them hit, as long as enough of them are hitting, especially in a crit spot, for it not to matter whether or not my accuracy and my handling like are effective. They're nice to have, but I don't really see them having such a massive impact on the game when you could just jack your damage numbers and your crit damage numbers up to unholy levels, and when one bullet strikes, that's the only one you needed.
I think those skills are just not as flashy. Like there's an obvious boost when you apply certain damage skills, right? When you use certain like damage boosting skills, you see the damage numbers go up, and it's like really satisfying, right? I agree with you that accuracy and handling are not necessarily noticeable for all people, especially if you don't really invest into it.
If you use a plague bearer.
Yeah, like I'm not sure it's worth it, because like for someone like me, I play with a trackball. I have an old injury in my right hand that makes using anything else impossible. I basically play the game or all games entirely with my left hand, except for controlling the camera and aiming with a trackball in my right? So for me, accuracy and handling makes a difference, because it's how quickly I can ADS, how wide the bullet spread is. If I tend to play a little bit more further back, I want my bullets to hit, even if I'm a little bit more further back, because that gives me more like wiggle room to dodge and move around and stuff like that. Which my brain is very dodgy, even though Borderlands does not really have a dodge. But anyway, I jump to dodge. I feel like it's only noticeable to people that maybe struggle with those things in the first place. So people like me, people that play maybe with a controller and aren't quite as OP as some of you guys. I feel like it makes a difference even for people like you guys, because I've seen you guys put points into those, and also like lazy data. You feel it.
No, it's definitely awesome with guns like the Hellwalker. Like when you can take a Hellwalker with a reticle like this and make it a one pump chump, and snipe the freaking the Malawan turret guys with your Hellwalker. It's definitely really nice. But just in general, like the amount of utility and like how similar it is to other Zane skills. Like I'll bring up a really good example. Duct tape mod. Duct tape mod got the self damage, or Zane can't deal self damage to himself with duct tape mod anymore. That is a real piece of utility that makes a huge difference. Like people are literally like going out of their way to get duct tape mod. It is low in the tree as well. But like if Green Tree had some really interesting utility like that, I think I would,
Duct tape mod, Green Tree capstone.
Yeah.
No. Keep it in red tree, please.
Someone in chat mentioned that adding a recoil reduction to that skill might be helpful.
I'm pretty sure that's handling. Handling is recoil.
Is handling recoil?
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
I thought handling was how quickly. So maybe I'm confused. I thought handling was how quickly you ADS, or is it both?
I don't think
anything
it's
that affects ADS. I didn't know that.
It could be genuinely. I don't know. I don't think so. I'm pretty sure it's just the recoil.
I always get this confused because it's different in different games. I've played a few other games where, for sure, they have specifically stated that handling is just how quickly you ADS, aim down sights, right? So
it could be both. Honestly, I'm not 100% sure. I think I know what you're talking about. I feel like that's like Call of Duty.
The one thing I'll say about the accuracy and handling is it's not always super noticeable, but I think, like, I know everyone likes sings Purple Tree. I think one of my favorite parts of it is the accuracy and handling. Like, it's so satisfying being able to land every shot of a Maggie on the head from like a decent distance, because it takes accuracy and handling to like a new level, especially every time that you activate your action skill, it gets better. And then you're just spamming Mantis, giving yourself more damage. And then like, I just feels like I'm amazing at the game, just popping headshots on every single person because I can land every single one of those shots without them missing.
Teach me to be good at the game, because I still can't actually do any of that. So
it's hard to do, and I feel like it's hard to do no matter how good you are at your control scheme, whatever that may be. I wish that games explained what these things do specifically. Like, I totally understand not necessarily giving us all the numbers, although you amazing builders will figure out what all the numbers are and the crazy math that's in this game.
You're trying to put us out of a job.
No, but like just the skills, like what their function is, because accuracy you can pretty much tell, right, that it makes sort of like the bullet spread closer together. But handling is kind of, even that, like, you wouldn't necessarily know what that means when you're going through the skills and you're going through like the settings and things like that to try to figure out what it does. I wish the game told you, because it really does mean something different in different video games. So if you're coming from like Borderlands 2 to Borderlands 3, it might be more familiar, but if you're coming from a different game, it might be kind of hard. And I feel like a lot of
YouTube, it'll be like Moxsy here with another accuracy video.
Well, I feel like a lot of people have been trying Borderlands that are coming from other games. Like, I have a bunch of friends that didn't play Borderlands before that played other games, and now that like I've been playing so much Borderlands, they're playing with me. Even my boyfriend, who's totally addicted to different games, is like, I'll play some Borderlands because the gunplay is so fun. But he's like, what does this do in this game? And I'm like, not entirely sure. So it would be cool if we knew. Anyway,
one thing that would be really cool change in 2021 that I've been kind of hoping for forever is and some games have like super detailed, I don't think it needs like a super detailed, but a little bit more on like the buff bar, so that you can say, or like you can visibly see, oh, I have 121 built up consecutive hit stacks.
Ooh,
and that's when I just lost them. Oh, my ASE anointment is active for another 2 seconds before I lose this. More visual things, I think, in terms of like knowing ASCs, consecutive hits, indicators for when this is active, or like your anointment is active on your weapon, like your next 2 mags when you lose it. Things like that would be just such nice quality of life things that I think would be really, really awesome changes for the game.
Zane's would look like a chat feed, though.
I know. I was gonna say. Says the Omara main. Us Zane mains. We got to read like 12 paragraphs of kill skills at the bottom of my screen.
Yeah, Omara would be like, yeah, she's got dot damage, I think.
Yeah, there's not much going on in my bottom bar when I'm playing Mara.
So
except for Purple Tree. Purple Tree's got some kill skills.
With that, we'll move on, but I will say this. It would be nice, I agree, to see all of those buffs. For me, I usually look in the upper right-hand corner for buffs. That's just kind of where my eyes tend to wander to. And I don't think it's viable in Borderlands 3 just because 1, 2, and 3 have all had the same system where all of the kill skills are displayed at the bottom. That's just the way the games have been designed. I would like to see that change. That way, if they move it to a different location where it's a little bit more easily able to be seen and it's not necessarily in the way, you can display more of them. Because I feel like right now, it being under the experience bar, it's nice and clean from a UI perspective. So they can't really add more to it. In fact, I'm pretty sure I have enough kill skills on Zane that it's not displaying all of the kill skills I currently have active. I feel like it's leaving at least one or two of them off.
Mitsu, I hate when it doesn't show me how much commitment I have.
That's
all I want to know. That's all I want to know.
I would love to, because same thing with consecutive hits, same thing with ASE. I would love to see some sort of visual representation so I know, okay, it's got about a second left. I'm going to fire Mantis now so I can get my ASE. Is that possible in Borderlands 3? Probably not, but it's an idea to put out there for maybe a 4 if that ever happens.
I mean, something as simple as just like, you know, just a second's countdown under the icon would be enough.
Yeah.
But it's space providing. Yeah.
This is all of us basically having wishful thinking. Whether or not these things are even possible, much less make it into the game, who knows? But the devs work so hard, and I feel like it's honestly insane that they've been able to do as much as they've been able to do this year. That's one thing I'll definitely say has been incredibly impressive over 2020, because working from home, like, we're streamers, so we're used to that. We have the computers, we have the power, right? We have the desks and the monitor setups and whatever. Moxsy knows because he just moved, right? He had to redo it all. Got some new fancy toys, go XLR. But for developers, right? Like, it's so I can only imagine, because I've never developed a video game, but I can only imagine how hard it is to not have your super powerful computer that you might have had at work, not have your comfy desk and your monitor set up, and not be able to like get up and go talk to your, buddy that was working on like some part of the thing that you're working on together and be like, hey, so I had this thought, blah, blah, blah. Like, you can't. Everything is harder. And I do think it's possible 100% to do 100% work from home for everyone, because we streamers do it. But I feel like it takes a lot of, like, there's a lot of growing pains, and it takes a lot of commitment and a lot of investment and a lot of work to make it. To like make it possible and make it as good, if not better. Like, I do think it can be even better than working in an office, but it takes a lot to get you there. Right? Like, my totally ridiculous setup that I host Bordercast with contains 3 computers, 7 capture cards, and a partridge in a pear tree, right? So it's a lot. And so they've been able to put this incredible game out, like put DLCs out, put updates and changes and all of this out for us. And honestly, I feel like this game is in one of the best places it's been throughout its life, and that's because the devs work so hard on it. So I just want to say thank you to the devs so much for everything you guys have already done, and I'm just looking forward to what comes next, whatever that may be.
So shifting gears, weaponry and gear in the game. Obviously, this goes hand in hand with balancing of talent trees, because without good gear, talent trees don't really actually matter all that much, Plasma Coil. So let's break this down a little bit further now. What are some of the guns in the game that are in a very good state, and each of you can recommend to players? Just because, boy, we are just chewing through time, and we could keep going for hours at this point. I'll say each of you highlight 2 guns right now that you think every player should at least obtain, if not use, for their builds. And I will start with Moxsy.
All right, let's just pull up the legendary.
Face puncher, Hellwalker.
He muted himself, by the way. That was
The bane of every new Go XLR owner, and some that have had them for years.
Yes, big time. So let's start with the Hellwalker, and we'll work backwards on that one. Why Hellwalker?
It's like typically in Borderlands games, matching elements is very important. The Hellwalker says, screw that, we can kill everything and we'll fire damage. It is, I mean, one of my favorite parts about it, and a lot of times I base weapons on what I use, is just how they feel. And the Hellwalker's always been a cool feeling weapon, but now it has the damage to back it up with its recent buff. The only character I don't really use it on is Mose, but the other 3 use it very, very well. And it's just very satisfying. It does bossing. I'd kill Wotan with it, and Wotan's armor, it's 50% damage reduction. You can kill Wotan with a Hellwalker. It's crazy. It's not the strongest weapon in the game, but if you haven't used it yet, you are missing out.
Would you say on that level it's the double penetrating unkempt Herald of Borderlands 3?
I would say that might be the light show.
Okay. I think that's a very fair assessment then. Yeah.
And then the face puncher is the face puncher is the face puncher. It's just gross. It's more of a delivery system of other mechanics than it is of itself a good gun. So just picking one up, you're not going to do great with it like you would a plasma coil, a flipper, a light show, a tizzy. But once you pair it with things and get some synergy rolling, you get some ways to get Groundbreaker, which is uncapped damage based off of other sorts of damage, and it gets your anointments. You're applying that through your face puncher. You're using that with like 390. You get some white elephants in there, or you turn it into a brainstormer with the static charge. Like, it's just so versatile for what you can do with it. The fact that it got mayhem scaling, it's one of those things that you can kind of grab a 390 and mix and match a ton of different melee gear and get a ton of different results, but all of them are going to be good. And the stinger's a thing.
Honorable mention. Thick. What are you thinking, bud?
I'm trying to pick some unique things. Can I go last?
Okay. That's perfectly fine.
Why'd you have to do that?
Oh, you're not ready?
Tess, if you have to, you want to jump
I
in
mean,
with, by all
I'm
means.
fine.
It's easy. It's too easy for me. Flipper. Also, light show.
Damn, I was gonna say Cutsman. I thought you were gonna say that.
Oh, not anymore.
Not
anymore,
anymore.
but
Yeah,
I know you love it.
Flipper replaced Cutsman, unfortunately. I mean, like, if the Cutsman saw a little love, I love the visual effect that it has. And I like, more than anything, it's my favorite, even beyond the Flipper. So I wish that the Cutsman could work like the Flipper. I do, because the Flipper is amazing. It's an amazing gun. I just happen to really like the visual effect of the Cutsman more, just from like a purely aesthetic perspective. And it also just feels very satisfying to, like, you know, to have that visual effect, have that. I love Borderlands gunplay because the guns feel and look and sound right. So it's just a combination of things. And the Cutsman, to me, is one of those guns that gets all of those things, like, right in a way that's better than any other gun. So it's one of my favorites. But right now, the Flipper is just far and above one of the best guns. And it's so fun to use. It also is gorgeous visually, and it wrecks face, like super wrecks face. And I think on Moe's, it's my absolute favorite gun because it just synergizes so well with splash damage, with all of the variety of builds. It's just really good. My favorite for Zane is actually Light Show, because it also, it has that it has that super high rate of fire. I love that pistols in Borderlands shoot a little bit like SMGs.
Did you try that?
Ooh, yeah.
Did you try that?
Flat off pistol. It should.
Yeah. Did you try that save file I sent you finally?
Which one?
I don't. The Ultimate Vault Hunter one.
Oh,
Aegis
yeah.
Mercenary.
Yeah.
I got a light show of every flavor on there. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. That's actually why I'm saying this. I'm sorry, I wasn't sure which one you meant. But yeah, like I play all the Ultimate Vault Hunter builds, and yours is definitely one of my favorites. And that entire like light show is my friend. Yeah, and you just like match elements to whatever you're facing, and it's super easy. All you have to do is swap guns, and it's the same feeling gun. And it gives you a little bit more of like you have to match elements, so it takes a little bit of forethought when you're fighting enemies, which makes it more interesting. So I just think they're really good guns if you're playing Moze and Zane, which, let's face it, are the most awesome characters ever right now. Just saying.
Fair enough.
So now, Triple and Thick.
All right, I'm ready if you're not, Triple G.
No, you go ahead.
You want me to go then? Okay.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Okay, so one of these is definitely one of my favorite guns in the game, which is the Anarchy shotgun. I freaking love this shotgun. When it first came out, I was like non-stop speed running Malawan takedown with nothing but the Anarchy because it was just so much fun. I think I found the freaking Valkyrie glitch where if you do too much damage to the Valkyrie, that was the first time I came upon that glitch. I think some other people did too. After the Anarchy came out,
real quick. Just
so if you
now.
Okay, so Malawan takedown before the Valkyries, there's that elevator. You walk on the elevator and then back off. You have to let the elevator go down all the way. If you jump down and deal enough damage to the first Valkyrie to deplete its shield before the other Valkyries land, you literally like glitch out the phases. You can kill one of the Valkyries like ahead of time, and like the spawns all happen like immediately, and you can essentially do the entire Valkyries in like 30 to 40 seconds.
Wow.
Because you just like kind of break its phases because you deal so much damage before the other ones even land. Like it's actually crazy.
That would not have been allowed in your community event, correct, Triple G?
No, I think
it was fine.
Yeah, because it's a damage based skip. Like,
Yeah.
Really?
You still killed the Valkyries.
yeah.
You didn't skip anything.
It's not easy to do.
Yeah,
No, it's not.
to do.
You need a metric butt ton of damage very quickly.
And the Anarchy is a gun that can do it.
Nice.
And then did I talk enough about the Anarchy?
No, I mean, if you have any more to add to it, by all means.
I think that's it. You can get it from DLC 2. Go for him, one of the named bosses. The second gun. Oh, actually, this is another DLC 2 gun, isn't it? The
The clairvoyance.
Clairvoyance.
Is that the right Jacob's assault rifle I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, the clairvoyance.
I love that gun.
This is genuinely one of the best assault rifles in the game now after they buffed it. It was already holding its own weight, which this gun came out before Mayhem 10 did. This gun came out when Mayhem 4 was the hardest difficulty, and it was holding its weight in Mayhem 10. And then 2 weeks ago now, they buffed it by 50%. I think it's genuinely on the level of like the Monarch, honestly. Like it's one of the best assault rifles in the game.
It's
awesome.
only Jacobs. So I have trouble using Jacobs because I tend to really like automatic weapons in all video games, especially Borderlands, because again, my hand. It is just like them. I like the way they fire. That one is so awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like a level beyond. And I had no idea. I was one of those people that used to always struggle with Grave Ward, which I know like all of you guys are going to be like, what? But most of the guns that I really like to use, especially in the game's early life, were like things like I liked SMGs. I liked things like the Cutsman, and the Cutsman just wasn't quite good enough for Mayhem 4 and then Mayhem 10 Grave Ward to like really melt him quickly enough. I could do it, but it would just be a little bit more complicated. Take a little bit longer, really. And somebody was like, you should get the clairvoyance, because I loved DLC 2 and I played a ton of it. I actually had a bunch of them just kind of lying around. And somebody was like, use your clairvoyance. And I was like, it's a Jacobs gun. And they're like, just try it, Tess. Just try it.
Grave Ward's a big crit spot.
Yeah. And I was like, oh my God. I think I shot him like a few times and he was gone. It was amazing. So definitely... I agree with you, Thick, on both of those. Anarchy is also a lot of fun. Just it's hard not to kill yourself with it.
Yeah. Hey, duct tape mod, okay?
Duct tape fixes everything.
That's correct. Triple G, what are you thinking, bud?
So you kind of covered all the big ones, really. But if this is for kind of other people to what to look out for, I can kind of say that in arms race, if you want some kind of just random guns to kind of look out for as you're picking up, like the AX7 Atlas pistol, which you can get in any kind of color all the way through, and kind of any TDO really. But if you're looking for a TDO pistol that you can get in chest one, like the sure shots, that kind of thing, kind of really stand out well in arms race. Pretty much anything with 300 over 90 anointment, if you're playing on Mayhem as well. There's a lot of things that work in arms race, but I think the Atlas pistol for one, particularly the 7. The 19 is good as well, which is a full auto version of the pistol. But the 7, which comes in burst, allows you to pretty much never run out of ammunition and will 1 or 2 burst if you're a solo player. pretty much everything in the game. And if it's a badass, it's 3 or 4 bursts and they're gone as well. So like if you're struggling with arms race, which there's still quite a few people that turn up to my stream and say that they just can't seem to run it on the higher levels. But like Atlas pistols, TDR, obviously, anything Jacobs with 300 over 90. And if you haven't seen a monocle in arms race, you have to try that. It's insane.
I can confirm on that. Every recommendation that you've had about arms race is very true. I played arms race for a month straight, and that's all I did when it came out. And some people were kind enough to come in when I was doing it right here on the Borderlands channel, and they said that one of your major recommendations was the AX7. I was like, oh, well, I'll keep an eye out for it. And as it turns out, that gun does shred everything in arms race with reckless abandon. Yeah, it's insane. And the sure shot, just for people who don't know, what specifically is so special about the sure shot as a TDR pistol?
So it can come with different variants. So it can be homing, it can bounce, be rubberized, whatever. But the more bullets left in the magazine, the more damage the TDR kind of variant will do, whether that's a pistol or an SMG. So if you just fire a single bullet and then throw it, you're going to get that damage like instantaneously as it hits an enemy. So, a TDR pistol with just one bullet out, if you're a solo player, will pretty much either kill or pretty much kill any enemy that you come across. And it's actually fantastic for bossing as well. So even if it's just the first white TDR pistol that you get in the very first chest, you will comfortably be able to go and kill the boss just with that gun alone.
One gun. Because we do have to keep moving. Because wow, we're doing great with this. One gun that you think right now is underpowered, and how you could provide some love to it without making it drastically overpowered, and get it back in the meta. Triple G, go.
Wow.
First name that comes to mind. Just think about it.
I can go.
You go. Go ahead.
All right, the Crossroads. Let's give it a pellet. Let's give it some more accuracy, some more handling, maybe a little damage buff for Mayhem 10 again. I think everybody loves shooting a Crossroads.
Okay,
Moxsy. All right, Triple G. Now your turn.
I still don't know. Carry on.
I was gonna say, Moxsy, it looked like you had one too.
The Butcher. My first gameplay I watched of Borderlands 3 that wasn't like official gameplay was someone using a Butcher on Moe's running through the proving grounds, and I thought it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. Just unlimited Butcher spam running around proving grounds. Did it in like 2 minutes, and that's not a thing anymore. And the Butcher's been one of my favorite weapons in Borderlands 2, and it just doesn't do great in Borderlands 3. Hasn't in a while. And Butcher and Crossroads for best guns 2020. 2021.
2021, yes.
Are you ready, Triple? Or should I go first?
You go.
Okay, mine's really easy. Kutzman. Hi, Kutzman.
There
Kutzman.
it is.
There, I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
Knew it was coming.
I just wanted to be like the Flipper, except the Kutzman. That's all I want. I'm sorry, that didn't save you for very long, Triple.
No, I mean, I'm going to say the Maggie, and I just think she probably needs an extra pellet. Just because, so on most of them, so it can work on Flak, it can work on Zane because we got commitment. But when Mayhem 4 was around, the Maggie could work on anything. And she's just she did get a little bit of a buff with the Jacobs pistol buff, but she's just not quite where she should be. The Maggie deserves to be the best gun in the game because she is the best gun in the game. So I think she doesn't necessarily need the damage, but one more pellet because she's a masher, and should be good.
Maggie, by the way, another gun that if you're lucky enough to get in arms race, that's just the end of your run.
Yep.
You just smoke everything, and it's hilarious.
Off the recursion.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm actually surprised you did not mention that.
Well, it actually had a little bit of a resurgence with the
recurgence,
with the hustler racer combo.
You know what I kind of wonder though? So you know how they put that like projectile limit on it? It has like a 4 projectile limit now. Well,
And bounce limit.
Since they got rid of the bonus element bug, maybe they could get rid of that. Like that limit.
That would be nice.
Because I feel like the recursion has like pretty decent like single target damage, but like obviously you want it to bounce around.
Does decent single target on Zane.
True.
What doesn't?
And I'm spoiled. Okay.
Yeah, that was my favorite weapon. It had a tough year, a little bit of a roller coaster, but it kind of got brought back with the Eraser Hustler combo.
They should just put a third firing mode on the recursion.
The unnerfed firing mode.
The Tech W firing mode.
Only gun in the entire game to have a third firing mode. You know what? I'm for it.
We did it for Moxsy.
There it is. We made it happen. Shields. Shields are integral to a build too. What is one shield that sticks out that you think is probably right where you want it to be? And I'm trying to find the words. I don't want to say like works with every build because that doesn't exist, but something that you think is a must-have for any player.
I'm ready.
Ah,
All right, I'm going first. I'm going first.
No. Triple
I want to steal his
answer.
answer. I want to take his answer.
Yeah, because he knows I'm going to say.
Can I guess what it is?
Go. I'll legitimately be honest. You
All right, how about we all count down from 3 and we all
Oh, okay, yeah, I like
What's
that
between
idea. Go ahead.
two?
Ready?
All right,
3, 2, 1.
Madcap.
Frozen Heart. What?
Oh!
You were
I
going to
don't
say
say
Madcap?
Look at him. Mox is a coward. Get him off. Get him out.
Frozen Heart is your favorite shield, Triple G. Are you kidding me?
The Frozen Heart is a very, very good shield. But
Wait, you thought he was
Mitsu
going to say
said,
Madcap?
No, he said Madcap.
I said Madcap. No, so the Frozen Heart's a fantastic shield with action skill start, 100%. But Mitsu quite rightly said on across all 4 Vault Hunters, and doesn't really work across all
All right,
4.
fine.
It's good.
The snowshoe.
Oh God.
So for me, the Madcap, because it can roll with extra capacity. So I've got double extra capacity and a fortify charge on a Madcap, which means it starts with, I think it's about 121k. All the shields you ever need on any Vault Hunter. There are other shields that are perfect for certain builds, but having a 121k shield permanently on any Vault Hunter will work just fine for me.
Dude, that minus 50% fight for your lifetime is real.
If you're Mose.
I thought it wasn't going to be real, but
It is real.
it is actually real. It takes away from your too angry to die timer too, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Does it?
The opposite
Well, I
of
think
that.
we're spoiled with Fight for Your Lifetime now.
Yeah, we
in
are,
Borderlands. It's like,
yeah.
just go grab the slice and be back still in Fight for Your Life.
There's a shield in DLC 1 that you get after you beat the DLC 1 story. You only get the quest after you do it, and it's called the Double Downer. And like back before we could have,
Oh yeah, I love the
There
double
it
down.
is.
yeah,
Black's favorite shield.
yeah. Like I was gonna say the Transformer because it's just the best shield in the game, but the Double Downer, especially if you're doing things like 1 life runs or challenge runs or anything like that, is a really good option because it just gives you so much time. And if you're like me and you tend to die at the very last second when you've killed the last enemy, it can save you. You can get to the next area. It's happened before. I like that one a lot. You do have to beat DLC 1 to get access to that mission, and then do the mission. It's called the Double Downer shield. It's really, really nice. It's nice. I like it.
It's funny that all of you mentioned Fight for Your Life. I actually just got 100 points in the blue tree for Guardian rank talents the other day.
You got it?
I finally, after forever and ever, because I didn't want to invest in that tree at all, because I was still stuck in a Borderlands 2 mindset where if you are a 0 player, you don't want anything involving your shield because you want to knock your shield down immediately so that you can do roid damage. So for me, I was like, well, if Borderlands 3 is going to be like that, I don't want to invest points that are going to actively be a detriment when melee builds become viable. Now, melee builds have become viable without having to just rely on strip shield roid damage, so I felt comfortable finally doing it. It's like night and day. I have no idea how I beat the true Molly-Wan takedown without it, because I did like 4 or 5 times, and maybe my win rate was like 60%. Now my win rate's like 95%.
Remember when Malon first came out, Guardian rank was completely broken?
Oh boy. Phew.
Oh, yeah. Wow. I did forget about that.
It took me 3
Here in
days to
Borderlands.
beat it.
Yeah. It was
Wait, which one?
Molly
Molly
takedown?
takedown.
I want to take that, yeah.
It was so tough. That and Guardian, when they first came out, were so tough.
Our first Malon takedown completion was 45 minutes.
Listen, dude, my Wotan fight was like 23 minutes.
Holy moly. Yeah. I mean, on release, Molly
Well, you were
Takedown
also
was
playing Zane Pre-Seeing Dead, weren't you?
No Seeing Dead, no Guardian Ring, no, like, I was using a Maggie and Calm Cool Collected, okay?
That was
Uphill in the snow, both
accomplishment
ways.
in of its own.
Yeah, Moxsy only fired 4 recursions the entire time. No,
Yeah,
5
right.
minutes.
The recursion was my first Malawan takedown completion on Amara was with the Brainstormer and Cutsmans.
Yeah, Brainstormer.
I didn't even know that the driver was in the game at the time because I just went right to the Malawan takedown.
Moxsy, what's the shield that stuck out for you this year?
I feel like the Old God is one of the most consistently used across my builds. I also love how well, it's not really the shield, but the front loader, because of the URAD anointment. I love using URAD. They're the unhealthy radiation. Front loader is super, super nice with that. The Old God is just like that little, it's just, it can roll really well, and it's always going to be beneficial regardless of what character you're playing. I think those are probably 2 ones. And then the I'm so happy that Nova Shields got a buff.
Yeah.
Because Nova Shields are crazy strong. I'm really hoping that there's buffs to shields like the the damage shields, but not the Nova Shields, like the Rectifier, the Impaler, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot.
I will.
I'm pretty sure those do get mayhem scaling. I think they're just still not good.
More.
More.
All right, I want to talk about the Frozen Heart for a second. You know, I screamed it out earlier, but I think it's such an awesome shield because it creates a very interesting gameplay loop. It creates alternate survivability. Now, obviously, the Frozen Heart shield heals you, but even if it didn't, like, it just creates like a crowd control element that I think no other shield does really, except for like, I guess like safe space shields or even potentially the black hole, which creates a bit of crowd control, but like nothing does it like the Frozen Heart. It's really unique. And it made me think like there's no other shield in the game like it that really like does crowd control to that level. So I think it's that's why it's like always been one of my favorites.
It's unique in what it actually does for the game, which is always nice to say. It's sometimes hard for things to stand out on their own merits. Usually you just think about the numbers and not like the projectiles or how flashy it is. And that kind of fills this really interesting niche that it's nice to hear that's a thing. I didn't even know the Frozen Heart specifically did that. So that'll be cool to look into.
Frozen enemies?
But well, I mean, just that you could use it in such a way where it's such a powerful crowd controlling tool. It never occurred to me.
Action skill start, Mitsu.
There you go. See? Well, yeah. Right out my window. Real quick. Grenades. I know this is kind of an iffy conversation because where grenades were at the beginning of this year to where they are now, are they finally in a spot where they're not just considered to be stat sticks? Because that's where they were. I see a lot of shaking heads.
There's a couple.
You can, if you really want to work for it, make them do good damage and make grenade builds that are definitely viable, but I still don't think that they are in a place that is rewarding for hitting that button to throw it across any character. There are some standouts, but I don't like, just kind of like harking back to like Borderlands 2 fastball. There's nothing that like makes me feel like, oh, I should take this time to throw my grenade here because there's a bunch of enemies instead of just shooting them with my gun, which is the role grenades typically fill.
I think what Moxie said is right. There are some standouts. I think if you look at the balance of arms race and grenades in arms race, I think that's where we should probably try and aspire to be. Like, grenades can make a big difference to arms race, can do a decent chunk of damage, and the actual effects on the grenades do make a gameplay difference. And that's where I'd like to see us get.
I think they said everything that needed to be said.
Yeah, I don't have a specific. Yeah, I don't have a specific thing to add. I love grenades. They're awesome. I love explosions. So more grenades, more better, more power, more better.
Just don't buff the fish lab anymore.
The arms race thing is a really good way to look at it too, because grenades are really impactful in arms race.
Yeah.
I think the other thing that I wish grenades did is in Borderlands 2, grenades had more functionality than just doing damage. For example, for me, whenever I would go kill Master G, which I know everybody's sick of hearing, apologies, you could use the Quasar to pull G into the acid pools. That way, you would be able to kind of like manipulate the mechanics to be able to do the boss faster. So you would combine a big boom blaster, so you'd have basically infinite grenades, and you would combine that with the Quasar, and they worked well in tandem together to achieve a result of killing a boss in the way that it was kind of intended to be killed in the first place.
You could also pull them under the gate too.
Don't do that. No cheating. I can't kill GMO. I'm not good enough to do simple mechanics.
Listen, Mitsu.
That's what you sound like.
You bring up Master G and Quasars. What do you think my brain's gonna go to? Okay.
I guess that's fine. That's such a cheesy way to do
the original door
You're
skip.
better than that.
Like cheat fillet confirmed right here.
Cheat fillet. I wish I had my little the cheat and I'll hold it up right there for everybody. Yeah. So we've talked a lot about balance, but there is more to Borderlands than just how you balance a game. A game is made up of many different parts, and one of those moving parts in a game is the story. So the story, we've had all of Borderlands 3, all of its side quests. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but now 5 DLCs, 4 of which expanded on the story, but the 5th one did add something interesting, of course, with the new concept that Axton and Sal are both game show hosts, for lack of a better term. They are. So, over the course of the past year, and we can't include DLC 1 in this one, unfortunately, because that was last year. If I'm recalling my dates correctly, and I believe it was December of last year, right?
Yep.
Yes. So, out of 2, 3, 4, and 5, and we'll even say, let's throw in Revenge of the Cartels, because why not? What was your favorite DLC?
You know my answer.
Mitsu, you took DLC 1 away from both of us. I can't believe it.
I know it's hard for me too, because DLC 1 is my favorite.
I know.
What came out this year, in this past year, that really resonated home in terms of pure story?
Mine's easy.
That it brought to the story.
DLC 3. DLC 3 Moxie is streets ahead. It is streets ahead, mate. It's the story was brilliant. It was a little bit more serious than the tongue-in-cheek stuff that we would normally play. So there was a familiarity to that story, kind of going into town and having some bad guys to go and hunt. The narrator, it just made it for me. And then on top of that, the loot itself for that DLC was impactful for each of the Vault Hunters. So for me, DLC 3, streets ahead.
I'm loving.
And if you don't get that reference, you're streets behind.
I'm loving seeing all the answers in chat, you guys. Please feel free to share with us in chats on Facebook, YouTube. Steam is a little bit hard for us to see, so come join us on Twitch because that'd be awesome. But yeah, honestly, I mean, my favorite is obvious 4 because it's the best because story and Maya and Krieg and Maya. Yeah, 4.
I had a feeling.
Honestly, I feel like Maya is my favorite character, if it's not obvious to you guys. I played her for like 5.5 years when I first started playing Borderlands 2 on Twitch, when I first started streaming almost 7 years ago. So probably for about the first 5 years of my time in Borderlands 2 and on Twitch, I mostly and only just played Maya. I love her. She's amazing.
If you couldn't tell by the blue hair.
Yeah, yeah. I love her so much, and I was so sad, you know, and like I feel like she had this incredible sort of style update in Borderlands 3, and it was just really nice to spend time with her, but it was so brief. And then we got DLC 4, and I felt like she was there with us throughout the whole entire thing, and there's just so much to that DLC. Regardless of sort of loot and things like that, which is important, of course. And I know that's why Triple G loves the third one so much. Also, Rose is amazing. But in general, DLC 4 was like a life-changing story experience for me in Borderlands, because we got her back in a lot of ways. We got to see that she lives on inside Krieg's mind. She lives on inside Ava's mind, and powers and everything. And we can literally go to Krieg's brain and like say hey to her, and she'll say hey back, and we can have a conversation, and it's awesome. I just love that whole DLC. I loved the message that it had, because 2020 has been an insane year for everyone in the world. There's literally not a human being on this planet that wasn't affected, and every single one of us has probably felt alone at times in our life outside of 2020, but especially this year. And this DLC brought people together. It brought friends together. It brought people back to the game to play. And it showed you like the whole message of the DLC is that you're never alone. You always have people that love you and care about you and want you to be around and want to spend time with you and just want to hang and you know, raid some vaults and shoot some bad guys. And the beauty of Borderlands is, especially as a multiplayer game, as a co-op multiplayer game, it brings people together, and it's just so awesome. And I love that they really like embodied that message in that DLC. So it was really fun. It was really fun for me, and it was really engaging story-wise, and I just think it had a really important, good message, and it was really wonderful to play through.
I can echo that a little bit. I think DLC 4 is genuinely probably the best story that Borderlands 3 has put out. Literally, like, it was one of the shortest DLCs, and that's unfortunately due to like COVID stuff. Like, they made that DLC completely from scratch from home, right?
Yeah,
That was the
everything
one
was
that
done
was
at
made
home.
completely from home.
Yeah. So that's insane. But with that being said, and even though it is like pretty short, in that storyline in DLC 4, I laughed, I teared up, I was happy, I was sad, I even got scared during the glitchy scene. Like, it puts you through every single emotion. Like, in terms of just pure storyline, I actually think it is like the best in this game by far.
Agree.
Moxsy, what do you think, bud?
I also gonna agree with what's being said. DLC 4 for me, definitely the best story, even though it was the shortest. I'm someone who isn't typically playing video games, honestly, for the story. Someone who's always like dialogue skipping, trying to get to the end. My attention span's pretty short. You really gotta like be doing something for me to really be paying attention to the story. And DLC 4 had the characters that I cared about. It had the impactful things happening to them that I enjoyed playing through, and it definitely held my attention the most, and I enjoyed playing through, and I ended up getting very sad and happy, and it was a fantastical roller coaster. Definitely DLC 4 for me.
I like that. We've got 3 for 4 and 1 for 3.
3 was great. I will like Rose. Rose is like a female Jack. She's so empathetic. And I'm a person that loves story. I think the most important thing to me in any video game is the gameplay loop, right? Like what it feels like to run around and do combat in that game, whether it be shooting or melee. The next most important thing is the story, and then right behind it and almost not quite equal is the graphics, right? But the story is definitely like behind gameplay loop experience and what that feels like and sounds like. The story to me is a huge deal. I love getting to know characters. I love kind of seeing their lives unfold in these incredible, amazing lands in the Borderlands. And it's been so cool getting to know the new characters in Borderlands 3. And it was amazing to have like a return to some favorites from Borderlands 2 in that DLC.
To that end, Tess, and because you are definitely far and away probably one of the most story intensive and art intensive people I know in the community, I'm actually going to pose this question to you first. What is a storyline thread that you know of over the course of the series that Gearbox has put down for a little bit that you would like to see them bring back and maybe further explore down the line?
Rose's story, actually.
Okay.
I mean, okay, so one thing I have to say too, because
That's okay.
I have to.
Okay.
Yeah. So before I go into Rose, who I just think is an incredible new character that I love, I really feel like Ava needs a coming of age realization of self, growth as a human, maturing moment. I would love to see that happen in some way, including like Tiny Tina and the B team. Somebody brought that up in chat, and it's a really fair point. Like, I don't feel like we got enough time with them. And it would be really cool to see like Ava and Tina kind of hang out. But in general, I feel like Ava needs that. Like, she definitely did some really good things at the end of Borderlands 3, saving people and stepping up and stuff, but I feel like she still hasn't had that like mature growth that I would love to see from her as a character. So I would like that. That being said, I want more Rose. I love Rose. Rose, of all of the new characters in Borderlands 3, in the base game and the DLC, all across the board, Rose is my absolute favorite new character, and I would say she's actually right behind Maya and Gage as one of my favorites in all of the Borderlands games. She's so interesting, and like, you can empathize with her, and she's a villain, but she's a villain that you can get behind, right? And she's just such a badass. And I feel like she has the potential to be like Jack in the sense that she's so cool and she's so boss, but she's so evil and you just love her. So I want to see more of that. I want to learn more about her backstory. I want to learn more about what she's doing now. And like, I want to see her come back and challenge us as another, maybe they'll turn her into a good guy. I don't know. They turned Aurelia into a bad guy and I was sad, but so, you know, who knows? I would love to see more Rose, because I feel like that's a story that has a lot more potential depth to it, and I want to experience that depth.
Still pushing for that Scarlet Rose team up.
That'd be
the buddy
cool.
cop movie. That'd be great.
That'd be cool.
That would be really cool.
Moxsy, what do you think, bud? You got anything?
I've had this theory that throughout all the DLCs, we're getting new cast and bringing back old Vault Hunters to lead to the next game. And that's why we got like Timothy, Gage, Salvador, Axton, all the old ones trickling in. And I would love to see a kind of how like Bunkers and Badasses was, where you had this kind of like nice moment where you had the Vault Hunters that we met and played all together, like in a room, like hanging out or something. I'd love to see all of them, because I feel like we have like Gage in her own world, Timothy in his own world, Axton and Salvador in their own thing, kind of come together and see them in a future, and kind of have that pushed forward as well, like a big group meeting of all the Vault Hunters and expand on what's going on with all of them, because I do feel like each DLC has felt very separate, and having them come together and working on a storyline in a DLC, kind of like a segue into the next Borderlands, kind of like how attack, what was it? The Lilith Sanctuary?
Commander Lilith in the Fight for Sanctuary.
Yeah.
Yes, something like that. I don't know if the new DLC is going to be a story-based DLC, but if we did have like a segue that was a story-based DLC that brought them all together, would be so cool.
That'd be fun. Triple G?
I think it's all about Tron for me. So
Really?
Yeah. So if you think about Tron's impact on the game, like everybody loves the Tron family members that we've seen so far, but they've barely had many lines, but the lines that they did have were so memorable that I feel like a Tron takedown or a Tron DLC, I am all aboard the Tron wagon. Give it to me and give me lots of it, because we killed 2 family members. Revenge of the Trons. I'll have it all. That's my answer. Everything.
Yeah, Tron takedown, but somehow different from L1.
I would, it reminds me, Zane is part of a pretty prolific family too, although I think all the members are canonically dead, but who knows? I could just say, oh, we just thought they were all dead, but turns out some of them are still alive.
New use station.
Have the Flints versus the Trons. I would want to play that.
Oh, that would be great.
Right? Thick, what do you got, bud? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm over here like Moxsy. I'm more of an endgame player. I not much in terms of story. I kind of agree with him. I feel like after each Borderlands game, when the next one starts, we always kind of wonder what happened to the Vault Hunters, and they always just kind of randomly stop being Vault Hunters, kinda. And that always seemed a bit weird to me. So some sort of segue, like he said, I think would be great.
Something to wrap everything in a nice bow, basically.
Yeah.
I get that. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So there's one more DLC slated. One more. It is called the Director's Cut, and we know nothing officially about it. We've speculated very heavily, and this is the time to do that again. Triple G, I'm going to start with you because you had a really interesting theory that you posited last time you were on the program 2 weeks ago. What would you like to see in the Director's Cut? Open letter, whatever your mind can possibly concoct. This is your chance to basically lay it out there.
All right. I was hoping you'd forgot about that first one in case if I was wrong, and then people might forget about that. I want something that is endgame, repeatable, that gives me a different experience every time I do it. So Arms Race is 75% of the way there, in terms of every time I go into Arms Race, the weapons are different and I get a different experience. But I would like to see some, randomness to the enemies, or minimum basic action skills or that kind of thing. So I want to be able to use everything that you've given me at my disposal right now. And I want to be able to go into something like the Underdome, for example, Borderlands 1, and it's different every time, gives me different rewards, and those rewards impact not only what I am doing in this new activity, but in the wider gameplay as well. That's what I want. I was ready for that question.
No, that's a very thorough answer, all things considered. I didn't even consider the randomization aspect of the answer, because when we had talked about it previously, it was mostly just a focus on straight endgame. But that's an interesting way to elaborate on it further. Oxy?
For the Director's Cut, I think we're also gonna focusing on endgame. I would love raid bosses, and raid bosses in different areas. I know that we saw at the very beginning of the game, there was that raid boss and arena showed off in gameplay, and it still isn't there. So I'm hoping that maybe that comes back and they've made some improvements or changes. But I think the biggest thing that we need, and kind of resonating with Triple G said, is some sort of maybe pushed difficulty. Having raid bosses would be really, really cool, and raid boss loot would be really, really cool. But something kind of that has infinite replayability, kind of like Triple G was saying, where you have, first off, it'd be really cool to have unlimited mayhem modes. That's just a personal thing where you don't get mayhem 20 rewards, you don't get a mayhem 20 gun, but you just have difficulty that you could keep pushing up, and then a area like Digistruct Peak with bosses and enemies that are crazy that maybe don't have a designated spawn like always. Like it's not always you're fighting this enemy at this location. It's just like, because I've been playing around with like randomizer stuff, having random enemies popping into a super difficult arena that you could have difficulty scaling with guaranteed drops at the end could be absolutely crazy. And then maybe at the end of that, a way to, because anointments are in this game and they're here to stay, have a way to re-roll the anointments so that you could start really getting intimate with your gear to re-roll the anointments on your gear to get it to perfect, hopefully, and then be able to push your difficulty up in the mayhem levels even higher and higher, just to really challenge yourself and take all these crazy things in Borderlands and just see how far you can go.
Interesting. Do you feel like perhaps removing the diminishing returns on guarding rank points might help facilitate that further? That's a sticking point that I've had for many years, where the more you put in one particular thing, the less you actually get out of that point. And that always bothered me a little bit, because at some point it's like, why am I going to put points in this after about 10-12%? And it just frustrates the ever-loving heck out of me. So if they had a mode like that, that might allow you to uncap that, so you could always continually push your stats higher and higher. You think that's a fair assessment to say?
Yeah, I think that could be very cool.
Yeah. Vic, what do you got?
In terms of DLC we'd like to see, or director's cut speculation?
In terms of what you would like to see in director's cut.
Okay, so in director's cut, definitely some more endgame. I think we really, really need more raids, more raid bosses. Even more like Circle of Slaughters and the other DLCs would have been great. But yeah, in terms of speculation, I posted a video speculating, due to a couple Randy tweets we saw telling us to wait and see with the Ascension door, because a couple people tweeted him and asked him about it. Mm-hmm. And okay, so I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but his response was kind of like, stay tuned, wait and see what we have in store. Like really kind of feeding us that it seemed like it's something to do with the Ascension Bluff door.
The big fat wink nod kind of situation.
Yeah. And I hope that comes true, because that's exactly what I want. I want more raid bosses. I want raids, and I want more Circle of Slaughters. So for me personally, I feel like the first 4 DLCs were all story based. There wasn't any raids or Circle of Slaughters in any of the first 4 DLCs, which I feel like is a bit of a miss, but that's a different conversation. So yeah, hopefully we do get a nice juicy raid boss in director's cut. That would be amazing.
This is sort of a side note, and I've brought it up to somebody, brought it up in chat today that reminded me. I actually brought this up to the devs at one point, and I don't know if it's possible, but I would love to be able to restart this, all 3 DLCs really. Well, I mean, Arms Race is basically like that. Like, you could just play it at any time. But the first 4, I would love to be able to reset all of the missions in it. Just reset the DLC as if you'd never played it before, without resetting the whole story and the other DLC. So if you wanted to, you could just go and farm that DLC with your 65 level full spec character. That would be really cool. Nothing to do with director's cut. But for director's cut, for me, I mean, my personal biggest ask is because I'm very much an eye candy junkie. Just give me more, please. I want more maps for Arms Race and various versions of Arms Race. I want different bosses for Arms Race. I want different boss arenas for Arms Race. One of my biggest issues with Arms Race, because I love running it so much, is the boss fight. I don't think it's a bad boss fight. It's a good boss fight, especially given that you may sometimes be going into it with practically nothing. I wish that it didn't take place underground, because the storm itself and that wintry environment is so cool. So I would love to see the current map have bosses in different locations, maybe, or just different maps and different bosses, and in some way maybe a randomizer or something for the bosses in Arms Race. I super agree with Thick and everybody really that more end game stuff would be incredible. Raid bosses, stuff like that. But for me as just a visual eye candy kind of person, I just want different cool stuff to look at. So like an underwater map would be amazing. Could use low grav somehow. That'd be super neat.
You know what I think would be really, really cool? Is an arms race map builder.
Yeah. Oh my God. That would be
sick.
insane.
Yeah.
That would be insane.
And you could
Build
like
your own map for
you could like share the codes to the community.
I would literally just spend all my time doing that. That would be
I would do that too.
cool. Yeah.
I'm a
I would
fan
just
of
make
map builders.
maps. Yeah.
If
That'd
you
be
could like
cool.
select, if they have like a bunch of boss selections too, like you could put kilovolt at the end of your arms race map or something.
Like they
That
could
would
just,
be
I don't know
really
if this
cool.
is at all feasible, but like if they had like map blocks, right? Like locations from the everything that we have right now. If you have the DLC, you can use the DLC maps and then you can stick in whatever bosses and do whatever sections or just build your own. Like that would be, oh my God, that's an incredible idea. I'm sure it's really, really hard to do, but it'd be really awesome.
It's worth pointing out that there is a precedent for that a long time ago. And this was a really cool functionality. SimCity 2000 was something that existed. And you could actually export your save files from SimCity 2000 to SimCopter and Streets of SimCity. So you could fly around your cities and drive around your cities. So obviously these are very basic games made 20 some odd years ago, but there is a precedent that this is a thing that could actually happen. But that seems like something that might not be a Borderlands 3 kind of situation. That might be a Borderlands 4 kind of situation.
Yeah.
Again,
Hope.
assuming such a thing happens.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. And that also depends on what direction they take for Borderlands 4. If they start going really big with like social features and stuff like that, it doesn't seem like something that might necessarily be viable. But again, you never know. I'm not a developer. I'm not a designer. I'm not a programmer. I just hope
I
for all of these
wonder
nice things to be in it.
if it could be a thing that the modders make happen for Borderlands 3, because the devs have expressed sort of an openness to the modding community. I think this wasn't really the case for Borderlands 2, but I think in Borderlands 3, they've seen how much of an incredible benefit modding communities for a variety of different games can have, and with Borderlands 2, the longevity that it provided for the game. And I mean, I think that the developers of Borderlands 3 are sort of open to modding a little bit more, and that's really cool. It's really, really cool to see that. And so like I don't know if an arms race map builder or any kind of map builder is something that they could afford to take the time to do, because it just sounds so complicated and so difficult. But like modders, you know, there's some incredible mods that have come out and that are coming out for Borderlands 3. I'm very excited to try them in the future, and like maybe, you know, who knows? Just saying.
I can't wait to work on my own community patch.
One thing that I wanted to talk on to your arms race, because I kind of just popped into my head and I really like the idea, is at the end of the day, play arms race. On your 50th arms race match, you're, at least in my opinion, you're going for the gear. Like you're trying to get that gear. I know I've seen Thick streaming, trying to get the God Roll Spy. To give arms race life, breathe life into it every so often, it'd be really cool if they swapped every like few months, just new stuff into it. Like took the weapons that are there that are dedicated drops and put in new dedicated drops for like a few months, that these weapons now you can only get from arms race. That way you have continuing life of arms race, because if Director's Cut comes out and all the new gear is in Director's Cut and there's no real reason to play arms race because all the flashy new gear is in the Director's Cut, I don't see people running arms race. But if it's going to be a continued part of Borderlands, going to be a continued part of Borderlands 4, if they added new things to it, like new maps, new bosses, all that stuff would be great. But if they did rotate in weapons, or like they had like events where you could only get this weapon from arms race for a limited time, would be so cool. Because those arms race events have been really fun to play and also really fun to stream.
much like Revenge of the Cartels in a way. Revenge of the Cartels is only available for a limited time, and it has what 2 or 3 guns and the fish slap that are incredibly relevant even today, even though they're under leveled by a substantial amount at this point compared to where they were when they first came out. So there's definitely a lot to say there.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah. Now comes the part in our tour where instead of just talking about the game, we're going to be talking about you. You, yes, you, every single one of you out there who this past year in Borderlands, made this community the best dang community that I have ever had the privilege of being a part of. We're going to start with ThiccFilA. How was your community and the general community reception to Borderlands over the past year? From everything you observed.
General reception to the game in my community and the entire community. I think it's definitely been, it's had its ups and downs. There's definitely people, you know, as big as Borderlands is, there's always bugs, there's always interactions that you're going to dislike. But in general, like, I mean, we always say it, like how amazing this community is and how like positive and supportive we are of each other. And the game devs, and we all are positive about the new DLCs. Like when people, you know, finish their story and they put the game down for a bit, they always come back. So, you know, in general, I would say that people always do end up coming back to the game. And I think most of the feedback has usually been pretty good. There's only been a couple, you know, dark times, like with all the nerfs at the beginning of the game. And when Guardian Takedown first came out, those were the dark times. But besides that, you know, we've been pretty positive otherwise.
Moxsy, what do you think, bud? You've had a wild ride in terms of community too. Sorry to cut you off for a second there, but you've been like all over the place. I'll let you explain. Actually, please go ahead.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, when I think of all the things over the course of the past year that you were able to achieve, in no small part, obviously, because of the community. For example, when you were joined by Dr. Lupo earlier this year. That was a pretty big moment for you.
That was very, very cool. I'm very, very grateful that was facilitated through Borderlands, and it was so much fun. Yeah, I mean, the year has been crazy. My community, I was looking, and just before like January 1st, 2020, I had like channel was like a fourth of the size that it is now. It's been crazy. The reception to Borderlands has been very passionate. People have been loving some changes. Some changes get people upset, but it's been really fun to have a community to really be so passionate about it and so engaged with all of the things that have happened. And then to not only be able to like see commenting on things in the game or talking about things and getting really passionate about them, and then Gearbox actually seeing that and responding to that has been a crazy experience. I remember there was like right before I think Cartels was going away, there was this huge discussion about, and people were getting upset that the Anoints were going, because I didn't realize it. And I think a lot of other people didn't realize that the Anoints were Cartel event exclusive. And I put out a video saying like, hey guys, these Anoints are not exclusive. Let's bring up a discussion about it, because I want these Anoints to stay, and I think you guys want these Anoints to stay. And like the next day, Gearbox put out a statement saying that the Anoints were going to stay. And it was like an amazing community moment. And I'm blessed to be a part of it. It's been a wild ride.
I remember that. That was actually amazing. The swift turnaround time that they actually had on that. So, you know, Gearbox was super behind that movement as well. So it was good to see. Triple G, what about you, bud?
I mean, I think with any game, like there's up and downs kind of with community. Some people are going to like some changes, some people that haven't. For me, I think it's all about context. When, you know, we've talked earlier today about some characters getting nerfed, some characters not getting so many buffs, and we talked about Amara being in a really good place to start with. But I think Borderlands as a game is really unique, and it's got nothing to do with the actual gameplay itself. Like, there are no real other games that released weekly updates, weekly hotfixes, regular patches that are not a PvE balancing game. PvP balancing game. Like, you compare that to like Call of Duty, and they're constantly rebalancing weapons because it's a PvP game. Whereas you've had this game of Borderlands, which is primarily PvE with co-op, and we consistently for near enough 12 months got weekly hotfixes, regular updates, some of which, dramatically change characters and their characteristics. So I think we're incredibly lucky, and that provides context to, some of those updates are slowing down. So some of the feedback that I've seen is that we need more bug fixes and fixes to some of the other things in the game, but context needs to be that we've had so much over the first 12 to 18 months that it's going to feel a little bit different and a little bit foreign because of that. But on the subject of community, I think one of the things that kind of stands out, and I'm on the internet quite a lot, and I see positive and negatives on Reddit or whatever about any game. But one thing that stands out by an absolute mile is that when there's something wrong in the Borderlands community with somebody, whether they're sick, whether they're going through a tough time, there are 20 to 30 people instantaneously trying to get their arms around people, and they don't have to be a content creator. They can be just a random viewer, and you get them all wrap around. About halfway through when I first launched my channel, somebody came to me and said that they were struggling with mental illness, and they publicized that in their chat. And I just watched people just wrap their arms around this person who was in trouble at the time. And, they came through it, and they messaged a couple of months later and said, look, you guys, and, and they gave me the credit, and it wasn't me, my channel provided the platform for it, but it was the guys in the community that just wrapped around, and that's what stands out from everybody else. You got it. That's what stands out from everybody else. I'm sure there are these type of messages that are in the gaming community in wider games, but I just feel like I see it on a day-to-day basis. The support network of everybody is just amazing, and that's not just with the streamers.
For those of you listening, by the way, there's a visual here. Tess just left for a few seconds, came back with a ridiculously awesome blue Santa hat, and there has to be a story behind that. I assume it probably pertains a little bit to community. Please tell the people about. I don't know. I've never seen this hat before either. Please tell us why you have that hat.
It literally just got here yesterday. So speaking of community and how incredibly awesome people are, I feel like I have made some of the best friends I'll have in Twitch and in the universe in general. Thanks to Borderlands. Borderlands 2 originally, literally within 3 days of me starting stream 7 years ago, somebody came in and was like, you should check out Borderlands 2. And I played it and I loved it. And some of my best friends throughout my entire life came from that. And because of Borderlands 3, I've gotten to meet all of you guys, Triple and Thick and Moxsy and Mitsu and Liz and a whole bunch of other people. I actually knew Liz before, but anyway, I just it's just full of incredible people, and these incredible people do some really funny things, and you get to know them really well, and they get to know you really well, and they realize that your favorite color might be, blue. And then they might send you a gift for the holidays. And I think Triple I know you sent something to Killer 6 and you sent something to Tweety. And both of them on stream showed their super, super cute red Santa hats, right? And I fully expected to get a red Santa hat when I saw that. And I just picked up the package last night. And I opened it and I was like, oh my God, you sent me a blue one. Because he knows me so well. And ThiccFilA has one too. It's so cute. It's so cute. So I just got it and I had to show it because it's adorable. And it just goes to show that Triple knows me so well. And he lives in a completely different country. You know what I mean? Like a completely different continent, literally half a world away. So right now it is 2 p.m. Eastern for me, and it is 7 p.m. UK time for Triple. And like I think Mitsu is Eastern and Moxsy is Eastern. ThiccFilA, I always forget what time zone you are.
East.
You also Eastern. Okay,
Yeah.
so we're all Eastern, but Triple UK time. And it's crazy. Like it's crazy that I feel like I have a friend in a completely different part of the world when he got engaged to Triple J. I literally started jumping up and down, and my boyfriend, my better half, next to me was like, "What is it?" And I'm like, "Triple G and Triple J got engaged," and he knew what I was talking about. You know what I mean? And it was just really sweet. Like I feel like this game connects people. That's so cool.
We'll get to it in a second.
Yeah.
Yes.
This game just connects people, and it encourages and enables friendships in a way that is unlike anything else, and it literally just like warms my heart. I think that's been my favorite part about the community, that everybody, like the Borderlands Discord, by the way, is a wonderful place to stay in touch with people. You can type _Discord in the Twitch chat right now, or just go to discord.gg/Borderlands. You'll find it. They're amazing. And it's a great place to stay in touch with friends that you play with. And I just feel like this game is so about that. Like the DLC and all of the nature of it, right? It's a co-op PvE game. And so it just encourages you and enables you to play together, make new friends, play with your current friends, especially in this insane year of hard things, where a lot of us have been stuck at home and haven't been able to see people in real life. Like I've made friends and gotten close to friends that really know me, that never would otherwise. That never would have happened otherwise. So.
And speaking from experience, like 12 months ago, my channel didn't exist, right? It wasn't even a. So yeah, I'd probably thought about it, and I was kind of New Year's resolution. So 12 months ago, it didn't exist. Like, and I'll be honest. At when I was thinking about it, I was intimidated. I didn't want to step on anyone's toes. And let me tell you, absolutely categorically, if you are wanting to make Borderlands content, just message anybody, and I mean anybody in the community, and they'll all help you. It's absolutely anybody. If you want to do it, just do it.
Statistically, they will help.
It's worth pointing out, by the way, I believe all three of you gentlemen started streaming relatively about, not necessarily this time, but sometime in the past month or so, or a little bit further back. And all three of you, over the course of this past year, through the Borderlands community, all are partnered streamers now on twitch.tv. Am I wrong?
No, you're not
That's
wrong.
All three of you in this past year.
Yeah.
It's been a monumentous year.
I started streaming on Twitch in March, so not even a full year.
Exactly. That's unbelievable.
And it's not
Moxsy,
an
I think yours
isolated
was
case.
December 1st, right?
No, Chadley got his as well.
I started streaming, I think, right when Borderlands. I streamed for like a few weeks before Borderlands came out. I think I streamed for a few weeks. I didn't get a single viewer. I didn't have a viewer yet. And I got my first viewers playing Borderlands 3 on my Xbox in my living room with a Kinect camera stacked on top of shoeboxes and my Xbox mic.
Nice.
And people hung around and just kept going.
Your original Jolts microphone.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So
Back
good.
then.
Yeah, I mean, I was partnered off of Borderlands 2, I think, and it had been out for a couple of years at that point. Literally, I started streaming playing a scary game, and somebody came in and they were like, "What kind of games do you like?" And I was like, "I don't know. I've been playing mostly EVE Online, but I want to play more first-person stuff, and I like cool graphics and playing with cool people." And they were like, "You should try Borderlands 2." And then a month later, I was partnered. It was insane. It was totally insane. And I honestly feel like the community that I am so fortunate to have on Twitch over the last 7 years started in Borderlands 2. And that's what made me want to stream. It's what made me want to continue in this crazy career. Like, I wasn't originally thinking of it to be a career. I was just like, oh, I'm just going to do this to maybe, because I had moved to a new city. I didn't really know anybody. I wanted to make friends. I'm very computery. So it just made sense to try and do that, to make friends. And boy, did I. And I feel like Borderlands 3 is just a continuation of the same. And like this year especially, but just in general, even when it first launched last year, it just brings people together in the best way. Communities, creators like all of us, and all of you guys that play it, that, you know, play with us, give us cool ideas for builds, or builds in my case. I love trying other people's builds because I don't understand the math. So I love trying your builds. So feel free to send me builds anytime. I've tried triples and ThiccFilA's and Moxsy's builds and all of our teammates' builds, and I love doing that, and I love trying cool stuff. So it's just been really amazing to get to know this community. It's a great one.
Desi, send her a build. That one's for a Borderlands stream that I did previously. That being said, so we've talked a lot about that. We are a bit pressed for time, but I do know that we have had an event very recently hosted by Triple G where it was an endgame challenge. And the entire point of it was to complete several endgame activities as fast as humanly possible. Am I correct, Triple G?
Correct. Absolutely correct.
And I am probably going to assume here that you enjoyed doing that and hosting that event.
Yes. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was crazy how it took off so fast.
Is it possible that you might be interested in hosting another one in the near future?
I will play along. It's funny you should say that. I will play along. So yes, so I've kind of hinted over the last week or so that a second challenge will come, and I will make everything live and tweet after it in a few minutes. But the new challenge is one that needs to be inclusive. So what I was conscious of on the previous challenge was that, you know, once the lazy datas, etc., got hold of the challenge, then it became very, very difficult for the casual to compete because some people are just ridiculous. So I've come up with one tree skill. Now, it is a little different, so you'll have to bear with it. However, it's pretty simple. You can only use one tree. So one tree and 26 points with the augments associated to it. And there are two categories. There is scaled and true takedown, allowing the casual player to maybe compete in scaled, and the actual more OP kind of player is, I just read Thickle G in the chat. The OP player in the true takedown. So there are some rules of which you'll see on the first page. These are just the key ones. So no glitches, skips, or exploits, no complex route, etc. You can kind of read them on the screen. And then we have the follow-up rules here, which are in more detail. So shout outs to Lazy Data and to Quag, who both helped me come up with these rules. I had no idea it was going to need to be this specific in terms of rules. But the main ones, no ground breaker, because that does break things. Action skill start and rocket launchers are gone. Needs to be Mayhem 11, and no mods at the moment because of the modding community is just kind of taking off. So it's pretty simple. Like I said, one specific skill tree. You can mix and match your action skills, so you could go all down the green tree and use the action skill from the red tree or the blue tree. But it's all detailed in the rules there. And then I've taken the extra time and effort to make sure that everybody will be be able to be represented. So we have an overall leaderboard, which you'll see, and then you'll have a Vault Hunter specific leaderboard. So you have ample opportunity to get yourselves publicized. So if you're a up and coming content creator or a viewer, you have a chance to get on these leaderboards and promote yourself as you kind of go through. So I've got, like I said, each for 4 Vault Hunters. Each of these Vault Hunters have scaled and true takedown, and there'll be a top 10 for each. So you have plenty of opportunity to get yourselves out there and just do it for fun. You will need to record your run, but as it's only a Malawan takedown, it'll be much shorter recording. and we'll have to show our gear. But I think, even Moxsy might actually like play on this one, It's like he kind of dipped out the way on the last one, not calling him out specifically or anything.
Yeah, this is
Calling him out I did my own thing.
But yeah,
Moxsy will like this one better. It's a little bit more casual.
Yeah, it's a lot shorter, so it's a lot less time commitment. And so it's going to start on January the 2nd and run to January the 17th. So you have a couple of weeks to go at it.
Question
and it'd be really interesting.
From chat. If you are on console and you can't record it easily, but you can stream it, streaming counts as a recording, right? Because it's on Twitch.
Make sure you turn on save past broadcasts. You have to do that if you've never streamed before.
Yeah, you would need to save the VOD.
Yes.
But the one thing that I find really interesting that I would urge people to think about is that obviously you can go down a certain skill tree, and some of the skill trees are just damage or just healing. So it's going to challenge people to put kind of risk reward that. So for example, you could go down a damage tree, and then you're going to have to pick up healing either from your equipment, from a grenade or shield or something like that. So it's going to challenge you to actually have to use your brain as well as just relying on a single skill or anything like that. So it should be pretty good. I hope the community enjoy it. If you want to submit those, then you can either submit it to me on Twitter or via the Discord. I'm posting a YouTube video about it as well, so you'll get all the links from there as well if need be. Yeah.
We will, of course, be covering this in the new year.
Yes. His Twitter, by the way, is _GZ1. Triple's Twitch is _G. Of course, you can find him also streaming here on the Borderlands channel on Fridays and Sundays in the morning. Or the afternoon/evening in UK time. So definitely make sure you guys check out _GZ1's Twitter to get the details. We'll show these again in consecutive future Bordercasts.
Yes.
I'm gonna try to do this. I don't know about you, Mitsu. I'm very bad at speedruns. I tried to, I have a lot of speedrunning friends. Kung Fu Fruit Cup and a few other people. And I love speedrunners, and I've tried to learn a few different speedruns of a few different games, but it's challenging for me personally because I tend to be very easily distracted by shiny things and people in chat and stuff. And yeah, so I'm gonna try this one because I think Triple has a really good handle on the pulse of the community, so to speak, and understands that there are some really incredible, just like OP, highly skilled people out there. But there are also the slightly more casual, donuts like me, that want to participate but are just not that OP. And I did not intend for that to rhyme, but hey, it did. So yeah.
If it rhymes, it must be true.
Exactly. So I'm gonna try this. I don't know about you, Mitsu. I definitely want to try it. So.
For me, I tend to be like the kind of cheerleader of everything. When everybody was doing the hunt, for example, I did something called the runt, where I was just the only person in the entire community who did not actively partake in the hunt. I was just the one who kind of like recapped what the scores were on my stream and just conveyed that to chat as we were talking about everything. Because I was the runt of the litter, because everybody else was just going off doing amazing things, and I'm just sitting there still killing Pyro Pete for funsies. So, first, Triple G, thank you so much for sharing this. This is like breaking news. We don't usually get to do that, but I'm always excited. Oh, Yoshi's here too. Oh my god. It makes me so happy that you trusted us to be able to break that news with you. Thank you so much for doing so. And I hope we get to do that for future events as well. Of course, Moxsy just picked up Yoshi, so I got completely thrown off. Yoshi, of course, is his little dog. That is the most adorable thing. Moxsy, you ran an event earlier this past year too, if I recall correctly. Yeah.
I did one called the Malawan, or the, what do we call it? The Malawan Takedown Challenge, something along the lines. Basically, it was just non-meta gear, and that went pretty well. We actually were able to do a community-based prize pool, which was crazy. We raised like $1,500 in the first hour for the challenge due to like some crazy generous people. That was
Borderlands community being awesome.
Yeah. That was wild, and we were able to do that. And then also the I'm blanking on the names. The
You had Race to Wotan, didn't you?
Race to Wotan, yeah. Which was you start with absolutely no gear, and you basically time from your starting in Sanctuary, how long it takes you to go beat Mayhem 10 Wotan, starting with no gear. So the time to farm all the gear, the time to go do the takedown and then be done. And then the variants of that for like the Guardian takedown, which is kind of what I did for Triples Challenge. Was I just started with no gear and then took as much time as short time as I could to get all the gear I needed, and then do all the true takedowns with absolutely no gear start, which was really interesting. It was a marathon. It took me almost 5.5 hours to starting from nothing, get all the gear and then do it. But it was very fun. And I think Triple's been doing an amazing job with his most recent community event, and really excited to partake in the One Tree Challenge. But yeah, I think community events, especially I still don't know what's going on with the hunt. If that happens, have been a great part of the Borderlands community. That's my dog. Yeah.
The hunt
Do you
is
think
coming.
you would host another one?
Say again?
Do you think you would host another one?
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't have to announce anything right now, even if you're working on it. I was just curious to see where you were at mentally with that.
I think so. Maybe after Triples Challenge, we'll host another one and see how it goes. I'd be very excited because so much. The last time we did the formal one with the prize pool was, I think, Mayhem 4, before even Mayhem 10 came out, and things have changed drastically then. So I'd be really curious to see how those go.
So the hunt is coming. We can't really give you guys details, but Killer 6 and Jolts have told us that it is going to be a thing in 2021. Can't say much more than that, but I promise you that we'll be covering it. We'll be telling you guys all about it when it does go live. They've been working hard on it for quite some time, so I'm really excited for that. I didn't get to participate in the original one, so I'm really, 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 really hyped to participate in this one when it happens. So that is definitely going to be a thing. I also just really, really want hide and seek in Borderlands.
Same.
If that becomes a thing in any way, shape, or form, maybe through mods or maybe through something the devs do.
I was going to say, I think the modders can make that happen, honestly.
Yeah.
All they have to do is remove the UI. That's literally it.
Yeah. I will 1000% host that event if that's a thing, because I just feel like that's so much fun.
I wonder if we could get bigger lobbies too. I think that was the thing in Borderlands too.
Yeah.
I think we probably could.
If we could have like 16 people hiding in Electra City.
That
playing
would be
hide
Yes!
and seek.
Oh,
Can you
that's one of my
imagine?
favorite locations. I love it, Moxsy. That's great. Modders, if you hear us, we talk to the devs a lot in this channel. We're like, please, devs, can we has this? So please, modders, can we has?
Is there
That
a
should
mod
actually
that
be
can,
number one priority.
Is there a mod that could get rid of the enemies from spawning, so you could actually like spawn a map with no enemies on it and then play?
Yeah,
that would be
like
so
just like a
good.
hide and seek
fascinating
map.
idea.
Yeah.
It's
Because
called
them
loading
shooting
too many
at
mods.
Hide and
you
seek
would
mod.
definitely not help.
Yeah,
With the
enemies
whole
shooting at
hiding
me.
thing.
You know,
To be fair, that was part of the original challenge of hide and seek. Was to
Oh,
find
was
a
it?
place that not it wasn't intentional, but it was
just what
part of it
happened.
regardless, because it was like you needed to find a place where enemies would de-aggro so that you could stay there hidden out of sight, so that people wouldn't know where you were. So like at the top of Magnus Lighthouse, for example, is one of my favorite ones, where I basically trolled Baru for 50 minutes because he would come all the way up the lighthouse and I would jump off and hide behind it and be like, but I thought somebody was up here. Where's Mitsu? And then I just do it again for 50 minutes. So like that's a good example of it. To remove everything that spawns, I don't know how invasive that might be. That might be a line. But at least to get rid of the UI, that's a great first step to getting us to where we need to be, because that's the only thing we need to do to actually implement hide and seek. So I would like to see that happen.
Yeah, I would
Thick.
super be happy with that.
Yeah. Thick. Do you have any compulsion maybe to host an event for yourself, or are you really inspired by these events to partake in them? What are you feeling about them?
I've thought about it, but I don't want to rip off Triple G's amazing ideas. So, maybe in a couple months when he forgets about them, and then I could, use some of his ideas.
So
No, I have thought about it before, but so far, no, I haven't hosted an event yet. Maybe in the future, definitely.
So full disclosure as well, anybody can do these. Like if you're worried about, like Thick says, stepping on people's toes, if you just message one of us and then like I can tell you. So for example, Endgame Rush will come back again for season 2 when new items get added to the game, which can impact the actual game. So that will be for a while. But I know Quag's thinking about doing an event as well. So as long as if you speak to one of us, then we can tell you if there's anybody thinking about it. And if there's not, then I'm all for having community events. Particularly the Borderlands community has really, really amazing ideas. So, I'm all for all these events.
My favorite event was one that Moxsy did, actually, the Race to Wotan. That one's really fun.
That was a good event.
That one's really, really fun.
So we are extraordinarily pressed for time. I had 37,000 more questions, and we had to cut at least 10 of them. And it breaks my heart. But you know what? It just is a testament to how in-depth this game and this community and everything about it is. I just want to hear some final thoughts from everybody. You know what? We'll go with Thick first. Thick, some final thoughts from you, bud?
Oh, final thoughts. We talked about so much. I don't know what else I could talk about. It's like you said, we cut all the questions. Really, I just want to say happy freaking New Year's to all of you. Thanks for welcoming me as a part of your community. And it was great to meet all of you, because I met all of you guys this year as well on the podcast. And we've had a lot of fun, even playing other games too. And it's been a great year, honestly, for me.
Yeah. Moxsy?
Similar, also had just like a great year. And I know 2020 wasn't a great year for many people, but it has been so amazing that even in lockdown, I've been able to communicate with so many people and feel welcomed. And every day when I'm not feeling great, like yesterday, I wasn't feeling very great, and hopping on stream and having the Borderlands community there and to hang out with. And there's so many different places and different people's streams to hang out with that you can kind of go anywhere and always feel welcomed. It's been amazing. It's been so much fun. Everyone's so passionate about the game. And while we can speculate about game changes and things that we want, things that we don't like forever, I am really happy with everything the Gearbox has done. And the game as a whole has been just an involving experience that has always kept me on my toes. And for that, I'm appreciative. And yeah, great year.
Me too. I mean, I just echo kind of what everybody has just said, really. Like, you just don't realize how good a community is until somebody faces adversity, and then you just see everybody wrap their arms around kind of everybody. Like, Borderlands has, like I said, I've got nearly 3,000 hours in the game now, so I've definitely got my money's worth from it. And as long as they, continue to deliver like they do, then I'll try and deliver myself. So yeah, thank you.
Huge same for me, honestly. Just like meeting all of you guys, meeting all of the creators on the team and all of the people that aren't on the team but are just in the directory on Twitch. I've been kind of trying to branch out onto YouTube and Facebook even a little bit just to get to know the communities there. We're so fortunate to have these platforms on the internet. I might be dating myself, but I remember when I didn't have access to the internet when I was very young and still in Russia. And like, it's just crazy how you can make friends and have people that know you and get you and will do fun things with you, like play this awesome game. And it's so easy to connect through Borderlands with the Discord, again, discord.gg/Borderlands, and this Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Borderlands, and the Facebook and the YouTube. It's all just Borderlands. And also podcasts. We have the podcast, which is a new thing that we started doing just this year that has been growing and growing. And it's really awesome to have been a part of making that happen. It's available on all the platforms. Your favorite podcast platform, we're there. Just look for Borderlands or Bordercast or Ultimate Vault Hunters or the Borderlands Show or any of the above. And it's great. And like, just it's incredible how this game and this community has sort of been there for me and been there for each other. Huge shout out to Tweety Expert, you guys. She went through a crazy hospitalization. Like, really, I mean, right now, health stuff is super extra scary, right? And she ended up in the ICU, not for COVID, for something else equally scary. And she's hopefully okay. As far as we know, she is home recuperating and as good as possible and already out of the EQ and feeling better. And so we're just hoping that she continues to feel better and better every day, and then it comes back to us because we miss her. She's a wonderful creator. If you guys just feel like doing something sweet on the last day of 2020, just go to her channel, twitch.tv/Tweety Expert, and just like use your Prime sub or follow for free, totally free, and just like type in her chat, be like, hi, you're cool. And just send her some love, send her some good healing vibes, because she's an awesome human and we missed having her on the show, and hopefully we will have her on the show again very soon. And all the other creators, we've got a ton of new creators in this community on both YouTube and Facebook and Twitch. And in this directory, it's literally just, Borderlands directory on Twitch, and Borderlands 3 directory, Borderlands 2 directory, Borderlands 1 directory. There's still people playing all of them. Borderlands 2 VR. And there's incredible people just loving this game and playing together with you guys, with the community. And there's cool challenges, and there's friendships to be made, and friendships that have been made. And it's been an amazing year in that sense. It's been a really incredible sort of escape and comfort through all the crazy this year, and I appreciate it very much. Just thank you guys for being a part of that. Thank you to the devs for making this incredible video game. Thank you for 2K for publishing it. Thank you to Gearbox for creating it and working so hard on it. You guys have done an incredible job. You did an incredible job before this crazy year, and you've done an absolutely incredible job during this crazy year. Thank you.
Year started out a lot of promise. All of us out there were like, oh man, new year 2020, it's going to be a whole thing. Obviously, things went sideways. But the nice thing about this community is we rallied. And over the course of this past year, we've seen some of the most immense triumphs I think I've ever seen. I don't recall the last time, not since myself and Gathalion and Baru and tons of other people were partnered, did I see such an immense partnership wave coming out of the Borderlands community, as with Triple G and ThiccFilA and Moxsy and Tweety Expert and so many other people out there, some in chat right now and others around there. And I think of all of you guys, so please don't think I'm leaving you out. I know all of you, but there's too many to list. And that's a testament to how powerful this community is when it comes together, even in the darkest of times. And that's why it was so important for DLC 4, as Tess was mentioning before, that they touched on these themes of loneliness. And when we're in this together, we're not alone. And it's crazy to me. It's crazy to me that a video game of all things, something that 20, 30 years ago, adults, I'm doing air quotes here for the visual, would say, it's just a game. Why are you getting so emotional about it? I'm getting emotional about it because of what this game has meant to me over 10 years, 11 years of my life, and what it's done for not just myself, but everybody that I care about around me. Through this game, I met my wife. Through this game, I made a career out of something that I love doing, something that we all here sitting on this panel love doing. And that's made possible thanks to all of you out there for watching us. And we endured this hard time. And through it, we had 3 wonderful DLCs, a 4th thrown in there right at the end that we didn't even see coming. One where we got to witness love in a horrible, tragic time. Boy, does that speak to where we are right now. One where we got to play cowboys and bounty hunters again. one where we got to explore the mind of a psycho, finally getting to see Krieg, and not just see Krieg, but understand Krieg, something he has wanted for his entire existence since he was made that way by a horrible creep. And we got to experience what it was like to have a little bit of taste of what Borderlands is like if you take away all of the numbers and just make it about the guns. Boy, did I love that. Boy, did I love that. And through it all, we had hotfix on hotfix, on patch, where the community was listened to, and not only listened to, but everything was acted, not everything, but most of the most important things were acted on. And the game still has a long way to go, but it's clear that they are in this for the long haul with it. And you can't ask for more from a developer, from a publisher like Gearbox and 2K. And through them, we've been able to have this wonderful show where we get to talk to you every single week. Yeah, I did the thing that I do at the end of the show right there. We get to talk to you guys every single week about what we love, Borderlands. And we get to produce Ultimate Vault Hunters in conjunction with 55 Liz, the best woman at my wedding, somebody I care about very deeply. And I'm so glad she gets to do that show every 2 weeks. Please make sure you check it out every other Thursday, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, right here on the official Borderlands channel. Here's my plug for her. We would not be able to do that without your viewership, and we appreciate it immensely. I can't say that enough. There's no way that could be expressed in enough ways. I'm not doing it because I want the accolades. I'm doing it because it's the truth, and I think you guys deserve to hear that. That's why we do what we do every single week. That's really all there is to it. That's what this show means to me. And in the new year, I hope that we continue to expand on this channel, that we can bring more programs to the forefront, featuring more of your favorite content creators, and maybe even finding a way to feature you on whatever programs we can concoct. That's my vision for the future. That's what I would like to see in 2021. We can't do it without your help. So please, if you're enjoying it, continue to support us. We appreciate it, and we love it, and we immensely, immensely appreciate every single thing that you guys have done, from every tweet, every comment, every suggestion across every single community. Every time the Borderlands show is live, I'm in there looking at 10 different chats and reading every single one of those comments. You guys are the best. You really are. And I can't thank you enough.
Thank you for hanging out with us. Seriously.
Really.
It means the world to every single one of us, whether you were doing it in our streams, on our videos, in our Discords, just in game with us. Seriously, it's incredible, and you guys are all incredible. Thank you for being a part of it.
And to 2K and Gearbox, from the bottom of my heart, and from the bottom of the heart of everybody here on the content creation team, thank you so much for a wonderful year. Thank you for everything that you've done for all of us, for creating this space and this game that we love to play and talk about. There are no words. You guys crushed it, and it wasn't easy. But through adversity, what do they say? Art through adversity. DLC 4 was made completely in lockdown mode through a pandemic. It's a wonderful DLC. 3 people on this panel said it was their favorite DLC this year. 3. That should tell you everything you need to know. You guys crushed it, and we love you for it. So thank you.
Huge thank you.
I'm done. That's it. I'll stop being mushy now, I promise.
Mitsu, you're so good at monologuing.
I have a lot of practice. I've had a show for 8 years, and this is probably one I love doing even more than that.
You're like a wholesome supervillain.
Yes, yeah.
I'm the anti-hero. I'll accept that.
You guys are all amazing. Huge thank you. To echo Mitsu 1000%, huge thank you to Gearbox and 2K for making this absolutely incredible and crazy and wonderful experience of playing this game and being a part of this community. So good, just so good. Everything about it, being a creator in this whole genre and in this whole particular game has been a joy. Being just a player of the game has been amazing, and just huge thank you goes out to the people that made it a thing, made it a thing on Twitch, made it a thing on all the platforms, made it a thing on console and PC. And a huge thank you to the community for hanging out with all of us. And a huge thank you to my awesome co-host, Mitsu, who literally I could not function without. And all of you guys for joining us. Thank you, Triple and ThiccFilA and Moxsy. And thank you to all of our listeners on the podcast sites. The show is available on Spotify, SoundCloud, iTunes, TuneIn, YouTube Music, and Stitcher. And every week on Twitch at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, every Thursday. Also, Ultimate Vault Hunter, hosted by Liz Sh55, who is incredible, usually every Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. Wait, that's wrong. Is that wrong?
1 p.m. Pacific.
1 p.m.
Eastern,
Pacific,
1
4 p.m. Eastern.
I know.
Time zones.
It's tough. There you go.
I'm so sorry. Time zones.
You gotta have all the clocks on your wall like it's a newsroom.
I
That's
do
about where
on
I'm
my
at this
PC,
point.
but yeah, I just forget. But anyway, so 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. There'll be a new one with Birdman next week. And yeah, you guys just thank you. Triple G, ThiccFilA, Moxsy, where can the community find you guys on the interwebs?
ThiccFilA with 2 C's. Google me, YouTube me, type Borderlands after it, you'll find me.
That's probably a good way of putting it, honestly.
Yeah, ThiccFilA Borderlands, you'll find me. Twitch, YouTube, Twitter. Yeah, those are my main socials and my Discord, but you can find that from all of those.
Triple G?
Same. Triple G everywhere but Twitter, which is Z1 on the end. Rip the Z.
Triple underscore is GZ1, right?
Yeah, triple_G and then triple_GZ1 for Twitter. Cool. And if you want to keep up to date on all the challenges, they will all be published on Twitter, and the Borderlands server is also going to publish them as well. So those 2 places if you want that.
Yeah, discord.gg/Borderlands. If you go to Discord and you search for a server, I think you could just go to Google Discord Borderlands and you'll find it. It's super easy. The showrunners there are awesome. They're the official Borderlands Discord, fully supported by Gearbox, and they're just really, really good people. They're doing fun interviews of creators and community members, I think almost every Saturday, so definitely check that out too.
Moxsy?
And you can find me at twitch.tv/Moxsy, MoxsyOG on Twitter. Make sure to stop by some streams. YouTube is just Moxsy and home of the Damage Nation, baby. Yeah, good stuff. See you all there.
Wait, I have one.
You hack.
I approve of all of this.
I would do fancy voices, but I've never done a fancy voice in my entire life. I don't know what you're talking about.
Wait, I think I have one for you guys.
You have a Kermit mug, but you don't have a fancy voice. What is this?
I don't know what you're talking about. Like, what do you got for us real quick?
I don't have it anymore. It got deleted. I could play an alternate one. Oh, that one got deleted too, dude. My soundboard's scuffed.
Next time.
My soundboard is scuffed.
I was expecting balls.
Wait, okay. I have that one. I have that one freaking hotkeyed to Alt G.
We've got no balls.
There's one way to ring in the new year.
Yeah, we were playing Fall Guys. Just so you know.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's what we were doing. Triple G.
That's what they're calling it these days.
Wow. All right. There you have it. New Year special. Tess,
Happy New
Year's. If you
Year's.
would like to take care of everything, wrap it up.
Make sure you go follow Mitsu on Twitter at Mitsu Show and on Twitch at Mitsu. MITSU. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Tess.
You're welcome.
I was so... Wow. All right. Thank you.
You could also follow me on Twitch at Tessica. Hey, Damitel, thank you so much for stopping by. Also, wonderful Borderlands creator, damn it to hell. You should go check him out because he's amazing. Seriously, just follow. There's a whole list of really cool people below the video on the Twitch channel that lists like everybody on the team. But also, literally right below the video on the lower right-hand side, you can just click on Borderlands 3, game directory, and you'll find Birdman, and you'll find Bad Karma, and you'll find Mental Mars, and you'll find a ton of really awesome creators, and you should check all of them out. There's a ton of them. Darkest Dame, like there's just so many good people in this category, and it's awesome. You should give them all some love. If you want to talk with me on Twitter, it's at Tess Games. If you want to find me on Twitch, it's Tessa, CHKA, TESSACHKA. Yeah, so thank you guys. You're amazing. Seriously, thank you for joining us. You're rock stars of our hearts and souls. You make this whole thing go. None of this would be possible. Like, game creators would not be able to make games if you guys didn't play them and enjoy them. We would have nothing to do if we didn't have you guys to play with and you guys to talk to while we stream and make videos and stuff. So thank you. You guys are awesome.
You actually just gave me a great idea. So you ready for this? Watch this. I'm going to do this right now. On behalf of Tess, myself, and Arex, Captain Ash Bacon, Char, Damn It to Hell, Depriesticles, Eddie Monster, Glitching Queen, Gathalion, Jolt Dude 139, Killer 6, Lazy Data, myself, Moxsy, Nacy, Professor Broman, Psychotic Wolf, Shrifty5, Series of Blurs, Subpar Lover, Tasachka, my co-host, or Tessachka, apologies, ThiccFilA, Triple G, Tweety Expert, and Ziggy D. The entire content creation team. Thank you so much for joining us as you have every single day, or rather every Thursday this whole year, or Tuesdays when we were on that. Shout outs to our wonderful support staff over on the 2K and Gearbox side, including Noel, our wonderful community manager, and Kyle, who does amazing work for Gearbox as well. Scott Pilick, shout outs to Vault, Josh, we love him very much. Elisa, I miss Elisa very much. She was very instrumental in working on that. You may know her as Irene, the Destroyer, the voice of that. She was very instrumental in helping us develop the Bordercast over the course of this past year, and we miss her, and we hope she's going on doing bigger and better things in the industry. So thank you to all of them. That's it. Go forth and make some mayhem. We will see you next year.
Thank you so much to Leviathan Court and Max and everybody, Billy, everybody. You guys are all awesome. Bye.
Happy New Year's.